In a strange forest-type area stood several people with not-so-normal clothing, seeming like they're some warriors or something. As they were wandering in the place, a cat called them out and grabbed their attention as the cat was selling something. They were shocked to see a wandering merchant cat. They asked the cat what he was selling. The cat put his hand in the bag and removed a cherry tomato and showed it to the people. Few of them were not so excited with this as they thought the wandering cat would bring up something magical. The cat smiled on his own and said he expected the same reaction from humans, but this tomato was different from any other. The cat asked them to check the status window. When they checked about the tomato, they found out that it increases 0.1 MP for 10 minutes and decomposes 10 grams of fats. Shelf life 30 days. The girls there went crazy as they found it to be life-changing. They rushed towards the cat and asked to sell the tomatoes. Some bought 200 tomatoes, some asked for 300. A man asked from where did he get those, to which cat said it was a secret. A young boy farming somewhere was harvesting tomatoes. With him for his help were a few rabbits. They made a juice of tomatoes and honey and decided to call it a day. Then the cat came back and said, "Master Sejun, I'm back." It seems like the young boy's name is Sejun. He praised the cat as he finished the task so quickly, and he was able to sell all the tomatoes so soon. The cat showed Sejun the money which he received from the people after selling tomatoes, seeing which Sejun started manifesting him being known all over the place. The cat ran towards the black rabbit and asked him to fill the basket again with the supplies. Sejun marked a sign on the wall and said it's been 150 days. His name was Park Sejun, and his class was a tower farmer. He seemed to be loved by the animals around. The story of Sejun is how he survived getting lost in the tower. 10 years ago, a 99-floored black tower suddenly appeared in the middle of Gangnam. It wasn't just Gangnam. A total 100 towers showed up at the same time. The towers were made with an incredibly strong material, which couldn't be perforated with nuclear bombs. One day people started to come out of the tower through the wall. Everybody was in shock. Upon asking the people how did they enter the tower, they said they don't remember anything. They suddenly got sucked into a black hole one day. It was everywhere on the news. All 100 towers are connected to one. When you enter the tower, you will be awakened on the first floor and have to pick one role, either a magician or a warrior. Monsters start to show up on the second floor. Every time they clear the floor, they get different rewards like a golden ticket, which was called an item. People who are awakened can get in and out of the tower freely. The ordinary people need to get this item to enter the tower. The reporters were confused as if people will enter the tower as there are many monsters inside. The agent reported that they're not sure about that. But one thing is sure, going up the tower will get a lot of money. The price of the item was increasing day by day. 200 million starting next week, and there are 100 of people who are ready to buy that ticket. Sejun was in a market store getting the vegetables and thinking if someday he'll be able to collect money for the item. He thought of growing plants as their prices are also increasing. He thought of partnering up with a member of the Moonlight Fairy, Sarah. She was his crush, it seems. He imagined him being successful and proposing Sarah. Suddenly a black hole appeared in front of him. He saw the opportunity to enter the tower as he learned that black hole of this type appears and takes people inside the tower. As the hole was shrinking, he decided to not miss this chance and ran towards it. He jumped and fell down on the ground. When he looked up, he found himself to be somewhere else. Somewhere in the tower, the crystal ball detected a change in the tower, and some dragon-type animal said he had to find out the cause of it as being the manager of the tower. Sejun was stuck in the place, and while being there he opened his YouTube and started looking for information about the tower. Some said there are stores where you can buy many things or a training ground on the first floor. Training is a must if you want to survive in the tower. Sejun roamed for about a day in the cave but found nothing as mentioned in the YouTube videos. He was lost, screamed for help, but nothing happened. He was hungry at the same time. He had a few items which he bought from the vegetable store before getting inside the tower. He ate an apple, which was not enough for him. He also ate sweet potato, then drank some water. He was full, but thought he's gonna die like this. To this thought, he said he'll need to do something. He started digging the mud and decided to grow plants there for his survival, which can provide him food. While doing that, he noticed the moon changed itself, and now it was a blue moon. He started feeling a sort of pain in his body, and he also saw a black dragon, after which he collapsed. His alarm rang again, but this time 2 days passed already. He was shocked and also in pain, tired and low in energy because he had not eaten anything in the past 2 days. He took support of a tree but soon realized that there were no trees 2 days before. He soon got to know that these were the same plants which he planted. He was surprised at how did this grow so big. Then he remembered reading about it somewhere that on the tower someplace, the plants grow even faster than on the land. He saw that the tomatoes also grew faster and in more quantity. He sat down eating the tomatoes. In the tower, the sun doesn't set but occasionally gets hidden behind the moon. They call this phenomenon. He remembered that he saw a dragon 2 days back before collapsing. 10 years back when the towers appeared, one of the major guilds, Phoenix Guilds, made an achievement of clearing the 37th floor. The information from the 30th to 37th floor is top secret. Below the 30th floor information is already available on YouTube. 2nd to 10th floor, they have skeletons soldiers. 11th to 20th, they have goblins. 21st to 30th, they have orcs, and according to some rumors, they have spiders on 31st floor. They never mentioned the dragons. He wondered which floor he was in. It suddenly started raining there. When he looked up he saw something, a rabbit. The rabbit jumped from above. Sejun ran to save the rabbit from hitting the ground. The rabbit hopped on his head and went straight towards the plant. It seems he wanted to eat the fruit. Sejun offered the rabbit some of the food. The rabbit also called one of his partners, another rabbit with a hat and a water can in her hand. They both were a couple. Sejun wrote in his diary about his journey, and he wrote that 2 rabbits joined him in the cave. Sejun, nestled within the cavern's embrace, observed the diligent efforts of both rabbits, meticulously tending to the crops, their unity a marvel to behold. As he immersed himself in contemplation, they approached him, expressing a desire to share his refuge. Wary yet intrigued, Sejun countered with a proposition. They could stay, provided they contributed to the upkeep. Mid-sentence, both rabbits leapt toward him, showering him with affection. Intriguingly, Sejun noticed their possession of magical artifacts, a water can, brimming with an endless supply, wielded by the male rabbit, while the female counterpart wielded a bottomless bag, summoning tools at will. With their swift completion of tasks, Sejun relented, granting them sanctuary within the cave. Their jubilance evident, the rabbits wasted no time, swiftly constructing a dwelling of their own. Observing their efforts, Sejun couldn't help but marvel at their ingenuity. Witnessing the female lead her companion inside, Sejun felt a twinge of bashfulness, yet welcomed the newfound companionship. As he settled against a nearby rock, the sunlight filtering through a discarded water bottle caught his attention, its refracted rays converging like a beacon of revelation. Envisioning himself a host of a wilderness survival program, Sejun embarked on a quest to harness fire using the sun's energy, albeit with initial setbacks. Undeterred, Sejun, alongside his rabbit companions, persisted in their endeavor, their collective determination ultimately yielding success. With the flicker of flames illuminating their makeshift abode, Sejun set about preparing a meal, relishing the warmth and flavor of cooked sustenance, a stark contrast to days past. Jotting down his triumph in his diary, Sejun retired for the night, his hunger sated, his heart warmed by newfound camaraderie. Sejun woke up after a good nap. He stretched his arms and went towards the pond to wash his face. While he was wiping his face, he saw that all the crops were done. Green onion harvesting was completed, and also watering the cherry tomatoes and sweet potatoes were done. He felt good about how things were done before he woke up. He started thinking about all the things that happened lately. They learned how to start a fire. He installed torches using green onions, and they installed a lamp near the pond because it was usually dark there. When they took the lamp near the pond, a fish popped out of the pond, and that's how they were able to obtain fish in the cave. They cooked it and started eating the fish. He wasn't sure if rabbits eat fish, but it seemed like they did. After a couple of days, the blue moon appeared again. The power bank, which he was using to charge his laptop and phone, reached its limit. He started keeping a record of the date by marking a sign on the wall. He figured out that the rabbits used to go to bed exactly at 7 p.m. and used to wake up at 5 a.m. So he followed their body clock and kept track of days. Something great happened after a couple of days. Baby rabbits were born between the rabbit couple. Sejun was happy being their uncle. Sejun also advised the couple to take some rest as it would be tough for them to handle the kids at the same time. He took the babies and went to see the plants. He had to pollinate the flowers by himself in order to bear fruit. He noticed there were fruits on the plant. Sejun was happy. He started preparing for the blue moon. He made a camouflage of grass for himself for warmth and tried convincing himself that the blue moon was just a piece of cake. At night, the time was passing by very slowly. Sejun felt like every minute was equivalent to an hour. He wished that this night would just end again without anything bad happening. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a bear growling. When he looked up towards the sky on top entrances of the cave, there was standing a monstrous red bear. Sejun was scared. The bear had big teeth and it seemed angry. Sejun thought as the bear hadn't noticed him, he would move away from that place. He slowly tried moving away, but unfortunately, the cherries and the bottle fell from his bag which grabbed the attention of the bear. The bear looked down and moved forward to attack Sejun. Sejun was sleeping, and the baby rabbits were trying to wake him up. He was in his deep sleep. The father rabbit gave a slap on Sejun's face to wake him up. Sejun was in deep shock still from last night, but soon he realized that it was a whole another day. His body was still hurting, but he didn't remember a thing that happened after last night. All he remembered was that the bear approached towards him to attack. He thought he almost got killed by a bear. He sat near the fire with the camouflage. The rabbits offered him fish which they caught while Sejun was asleep. He started thinking about the situation as now the monster noticed the place. Also, he thought if he noticed other monsters like the rabbits and all, he got lucky this time. After giving it a brief thought, he decided to just eat well to survive because that's the only thing he can do here. The mother rabbit called Sejun to show him something. There was a shiny blue cherry on the plant. The cherry was already as big as a golf ball, but he was confused as if why the color was blue. When he picked the blue cherry in his hand, a message window appeared in front of him. He was shocked by seeing this. He couldn't believe his eyes. The message said, "You have successfully completed the quest to harvest a fruit containing the energy of the blue moon." Also, the message said that his achievement attracted the attention of the tower manager. Many messages popped up. One of them said that the manager is keeping an eye on you, and another one said that the manager was unhappy. To which Sejun was confused as to why would the manager be unhappy. The tower manager discovered that Sejun was not an invited guest. The tower manager wants to hide its blunder. Sejun was in shock to know that it was a mistake that he landed here. He was furious as he was living there for 61 days, and they called it a mistake. He said he wanted to go home, but the tower manager was thinking of killing Sejun to eradicate the evidence. Sejun was angry as he was expecting a reward for completing a quest, but he got to know that the manager is planning to eradicate him. After a moment, he got a message that the tower manager was awakening him. The manager was assigning him a job. Sejun was curious about what it'd be, a swordsman or a wizard, but the tower manager assigned him a job of a tower farmer. He was given the power of not being sick and will be close to nature according to his work profile. Then his status window opens up. There he noticed that the talent given to him was ordinary. He imagined thoughts where he was giving an interview, and upon asking about his job, he answered tower farmer, which made him feel disgusted. He was about to throw the blue cherry in anger. He noticed the cute family of rabbits and the time they spent together working so hard till date. He decided to let it go, and he accepted being a tower farmer. While he was holding the blue tomato, a message window appeared, and it stated that the tomato was a magical cherry tomato. He was so happy and proud of himself that he was able to grow a magical item. The manager then sent a quest request, where manager asked him to offer the fruit containing the energy of the blue moon. And if he refuses, the penalty is death. Sejun was shocked after reading the quest. It was more of a blackmail for him. He acted tough for a moment, but the word death kept revolving around his head, and finally, he gave up on being so tough and offered the blue cherry to the manager, asking to spare his life. As soon as he gave the cherry to the manager, a message popped up saying quest reward. The message said a job-related skill. Sejun was so involved with the word death that he almost forgot there was a reward attached to it. He obtained the sowing skill. After all, he was a tower farmer. When he went fishing and captured a piranha, he again got a message where he received 2 experience points for killing the piranha. He captured 5 piranhas, which made his points 10. He somehow reached level 2. He also thought that he needed to catch more fish. However, it wasn't the best practice to kill anyone without any reason. He then started eating the fish with all the rabbits. Also, the fish was their source of protein. The small rabbits started eating a lot these days as their appetite was increasing with their growth. He also checked the information about the rabbits and found out that they were called farmer white rabbits. Based on their name, Sejun figured out that they were specialized in farming and not fighting. He started thinking about how the rabbits ended up being here in this cave. He really wished that he could understand what they were talking about. He then stood up and asked everyone to come with him towards the farm. Red cherry tomatoes were grown on the plants. He was so happy with this. As he picked up a tomato, he got a message from the window saying he obtained a magical tomato, and also his job experience points would increase slightly. The magical tomato is nutritious and tasty. When consumed, it decomposes 10 grams of fats and increases 0.1 MP for 10 minutes. Sejun wanted to know if it was the same with every other tomato. He plucked each tomato and received the same message for every tomato. But for some tomatoes which were not well ripened, he received fewer points. So for a magical item, he had to harvest a well-ripe cherry tomato. His level increased to 4. He shared the tomatoes with every rabbit, and they started eating them. It tasted much better than he expected. The rabbits then made storage for the tomatoes and covered it with grass. The rabbit kids were not big enough to help their parents. Sejun went to sleep, and a message popped up from the manager asking for 100 magical tomatoes, and the case was the same again. If he refused, the penalty was death. First, Sejun tried to ignore the message, but after a minute or two, he offered the manager some tomatoes. He received a reward. He got the skill of harvesting. Initially, he thought what was the use of this, but he figured out this was way more useful. The skill used to correct the ripeness of the fruit whenever it was slightly unripe or overripe. He harvested some more tomatoes, and then again, he received a quest request. He offered some more tomatoes to the tower manager, but it again asked for some more and more. The number kept on increasing every time. The tower manager asked for 500 tomatoes, but this time Sejun refused. Sejun was furious at this constant demand from the tower manager. He argued that the manager had already taken hundreds of them earlier, and they also needed to eat some of them to stay alive. The message appeared again, stating that it was the tower farmer's problem, so stop protesting and give the magical cherry tomatoes. Sejun had a moment of anger, thinking he had worked so hard and suffered for days to harvest them. The manager provoked Sejun even more by saying that he shouldn't overreact as it was not a big deal. Listening to this, Sejun said he didn't want to give and gave a straight refusal. The tower manager was flustered. Messages like this popped up on the social window, but Sejun didn't react to any of them. He continued doing his work, cutting the crops with the rabbit, cooking the fish. The social window constantly kept saying that he might die, but Sejun didn't care anymore as he was annoyed that the manager said that the only thing he did was sow the seeds. Sejun said that the manager made him do all of this forcefully, and he didn't even appreciate his efforts. Sejun also mentioned that if he's the manager of the tower, he's a bad employer. The tower manager was shocked listening to this, and somehow he attempted to say sorry but didn't complete his sentence. Sejun closed his ears to all the messages that popped up. Sejun then gave 5 tomatoes and said he would give the remaining tomatoes later as he also needed to feed the baby rabbits. The tower manager compromised for this much as of now. Sejun noticed that the tower manager almost tried to apologize. Sejun was lost for 91 days. The 4th blue moon appeared. He was eating tomatoes so that his MP could increase, and he could withstand the roar of a monster. A shine of moon fell on the plants, and a blue cherry grew there. Sejun couldn't wait to harvest it. Even the sweet potato leaves were illuminated by the blue light. He ran towards the plant, started digging, and he got a sweet potato, but it was imbued with the energy of the blue moon. His experience increased. His harvest level also increased. He plucked the blue cherry as well. He had both blue cherry and blue sweet potato in his hand, and he felt like he had the world in both of his arms. An additional quest appeared. Sejun knew this would happen. The quest asked for both blue cherry and blue sweet potato without offering any reward, and the penalty was death. Sejun knew they might kill him if he just refused this time, so he offered a basket of tomatoes to the tower manager, completing the last quest. The manager was happy with the magical cherry tomatoes in the basket. Sejun ate the blue cherry tomato, and it was fresh and sweet. He could feel a festival in his mouth. He couldn't hold himself and cooked the blue sweet potato as well. The next morning when the rabbits woke up, Sejun was already awake, and he offered them the sweet potato with the energy of the blue moon. But the father rabbit stopped the family and offered Sejun to eat it first. Sejun decided to keep the secret hidden that he already ate it alone earlier. He took a bite of the blue sweet potato, but it was hot as hell. Everyone took a bite, but it was hot for them as well. He noted in his diary that he ate a fiery hot meal today. Next morning, Sejun made up his mind and announced in front of everyone that from now onwards we would be planting the sweet potato sprouts. Sejun asked the baby rabbits not to eat the sweet potato sprouts. The baby rabbits started crying as they liked it very much. They started shouting and made angry faces towards Sejun. He convinced them that they would have even tastier sweet potatoes for dinner. Also, if they helped him plant the sweet potato sprouts, he would also give them special snacks. He expanded the area so he could plant more sweet potatoes. In the name of the special snack, the baby rabbits were excited and started doing their assigned work. Sejun asked the mother rabbit to leave 1 green onion so he could get the seeds by blooming the green onion flower. He decided to plant seeds first so they could become an item. Everybody started working hard. One of the baby rabbits tried to eat the sprouts, for which he got a slap on his head from the father rabbit. Sejun's experience and skill were increasing rapidly as he worked, and after a while, Sejun's job level reached level 8. He decided to harvest more. He started cooking snacks as he promised the baby rabbits. The tower manager was keeping an eye on Sejun to see what he was cooking today. Sejun was slightly annoyed by this message. He called everyone for snacks and made special roasted cherry tomatoes and bone skewers. Usually, cherry tomatoes were baked on the piranha's bone that had already been washed clean. It made the tomato sweeter and softer. It was easy to carry around. Sejun informed the rabbits to blow on it first as it was hot. The sweet potato sprouts were already planted enough, and he decided to dig some sweet potatoes for dinner. Sejun got 15 sweet potatoes, harvesting about 5 sweet potatoes from each tree, and he thought it was a good first harvest. Sejun received a couple of messages. His sewing level was increased. Also, the proficiency of sewing also increased slightly. He understood that he needed to plant all of it by himself just to increase his skill level. He immediately stopped everyone and informed them that he would do it. Somewhere in the tower manager was eating the cherry tomatoes given by Sejun. However, the tower manager didn't like the taste of it and was confused about how humans ate it so deliciously. Then he realized that the inside was sweet and he accepted that it was delicious. He decided to keep a watch on the human again to see what he was doing. When the Dragon Tower manager saw that Sejun was eating the roast sweet potatoes, he got irritated and requested an additional request. He asked for 1 roasted strength sweet potato to the tower manager, and Sejun postponed it. The social message window appeared again. It said that the tower manager urged him to give the roasted sweet potato. It also said that it wouldn't let him off if he didn't give it the roasted sweet potato. Sejun said that there was only 1 left, and he would offer that only if he could do something about his reward. The tower manager then revised the quest. He offered him a job-related skill. Sejun got excited and offered the sweet potato. The quest was completed when he opened the window. He saw that he was offered a seed store. Sejun was excited to get a seed store. He thanked our manager. He activated the seed store skill. He got a window message informing him about not having any transaction history at the moment. Sejun agreed as it was obvious not to have any as it was his first time activating the skill. Sejun was confused about how to make the purchase as he didn't have any money. The window message offered him entry-level services and also congratulated him on becoming the first rookie customer of the seed store. They provided him 1 tower coin. 1 tower coin was deposited into Park Sejun's account at the seed bank. When he opened the seed store, he was shown 3 types of seeds: red pepper seeds, cabbage seeds, and carrot seeds. While he was thinking which seed to purchase, he mentioned the carrot seeds, grabbing the attention of the rabbits. They insisted on him getting the carrot seeds. Sejun agreed. They purchased the carrot seeds. 0.1 tower coin was withdrawn from his seed bank account. The tower manager was satisfied with this purchase, and she was confused as to why he was feeling satisfied. They started planting the carrots, and from a distance, a bee was watching everything. Sejun was relaxing on the side. Meanwhile, the father and mother rabbit were closely watching the carrots grow. A few days had passed since Sejun planted the carrots. Although the seeds were yet to sprout, the rabbits acted like that all day in front of the place he planted. Sejun decided to take a nap, and after that, he would pollinate the flowers and cut onions in the afternoon. While he was trying to sleep, a bee came buzzing near his ear. He woke up, annoyed by the sound, and noticed that the bee was flying in front of him. He was excited to see the bee. When he looked at her name, it was Poison Honeybee. He was shocked by reading the name. He informed the rabbits that the bee was dangerous. The window message appeared, and the tower manager said that poison honeybees are carnivorous. Bees that hunt monsters with poisonous stings and eat their flesh. Their stingers are very dangerous, so avoiding them is the best course of action. Sejun was shocked to know that they eat flesh. He couldn't believe it himself, and he started shooing the bee away. The bee came near to Sejun. For his defense, Sejun picked up a grass and gave it to the bee and asked to eat this instead of eating him. The bee then looked at the flower on the grass and pollinated it. He understood how this works, and he asked the bee to eat all the other flowers if she was hungry. Sejun understood that at this rate, he doesn't need to pollinate cherry tomatoes anymore. The rabbits came back. The bee then came back to Sejun and slept on his t-shirt. Sejun was a bit tense and asked the bee, "You aren't going to sting me, right?" In his diary of getting lost in the tower, it looks like his family has one more member now. 120 days had passed since he was lost. They all were working together like a family. The rabbit kids were playing, and Sejun was enjoying watching them from a distance. Several weeks had passed since the poison honeybee came there. The bee goes to work in the morning, sucks nectar, and returns to the forest outside the cave in the evening. Maybe she's not going back to her own group, and a few days ago, she started spitting out honey. On the window message, the honey onion was mentioned as the sweet flavor of the freshly grilled green onion is enhanced by the sticky honey of the poison bee. Sejun ate it and found it delicious. Sejun informed the bee that at first, he freaked out because he thought she was poisonous, but thanks to her, he was able to quickly expand the field to get the honey. The tower manager was happy for Sejun, but when he turned around to see the message, it disappeared. After a while, Sejun realized that the blue moon was coming soon. He was worried about that, and he prayed that it goes by safely this time as well. He started preparing for the blue moon. He made a camouflage for himself. He covered the cherries with grass. He also realized that the poison honeybee was not coming anymore. He thought she must be preparing for the blue moon as well. He noticed that the rabbits were especially anxious today. The rabbit family hugged each other, and quickly the father and the mother rabbit ran towards their house and they shut the door. Sejun was shocked that they could leave their babies behind like that. He was worried that the blue moon is coming, and as he finished his words, the blue moon was above him. When he turned around, he noticed that the baby rabbits went crazy. Their eyes were red, and they had monstrous teeth. They all were growling loudly. Sejun was so confused and scared at the same time. The baby rabbits were not small anymore. Their body structure changed. Their eyes changed as well as their facial expressions changed. All the rabbits bumped into each other. A light flashed on Sejun's eyes. Surprisingly, the color of the rabbits changed. 4 of them were of white color and 1 of them was black. Sejun noticed that they have become adults and has changed their color. He also noticed that it was the 5th blue moon since they were born. It was like a coming-of-age ceremony. Sejun was worried that something happened to the rabbits. He picked them and started kissing them as retribution kisses. The blue moon was gone, and the mother rabbit and father rabbit came outside their house. They all hugged each other. Sejun decided to prepare coming-of-age feast for them. They all summoned items such as farmer's cart, water can and shovel. Sejun understood that when they become an adult, farmer rabbit can have their own item and he couldn't borrow it. Sejun wondered about the black rabbit. He summoned a hammer. When he checked his name, it was Warrior Black Rabbit. Everybody started working hard in the farm. The adult rabbits were even helping with their mom and dad's work. Sejun was emotional as the cute babies that used to run around have grown up so well. He was touched, but he was again worried about the black rabbit. He was confused about his job. Since they were in the cave, there won't be any monster that will endanger the farm, so there is nothing to fight for him and the hammer can't be used to help farming. Sejun decided to do fishing with him as hunting is also a kind of fight. He decided that he will lure the fish with the torch and the warrior will catch them or kill them. He raised the torch towards the pond of fish came out and the warrior rabbit smashed the fish with his hammer. The smash was so powerful that the fish was separated from its bone and was almost turned into a paste-like thing. The black rabbit was sad, but Sejun convinced him that he'll get better if you keep on practicing. And just like that, the rabbit started getting used to their roles. After the 125th day, the seed store was reopened. Sejun was curious as he was gonna purchase this time. He again had 3 options: sweet pumpkin seeds, watermelon seeds, and waxy corn seed. However, the prices of the currently listed seeds were different from the previous one. He only had 0.9 tower coins. With this he could only purchase waxy corn seeds. He was confused as what he should do. If it keeps getting more expensive, he won't be able to buy anything next time. Moreover, he didn't even have any way to increase his money in this place. There were only 3 options for getting a reward. First one was getting the rewards after clearing a floor. Even though the amount is high, the price was rewarded only once on each floor, so the percentage of the actual profits earned by the hunters is not that big. The second method was hunting the monster and selling the monster body to the wandering merchant or to the store on the first floor. It's the best source of income for the hunters because it can make continuous profit. And the third method was completing the quest and getting rewarded. Sejun asked the tower manager if he can reward him to coins for completing the quest. The tower manager was unknown about the tower coins. He advised that he will give him the tower coin when he grow up. Sejun asked how many more years do he need to finally grow up, to which the tower manager replied that he need to be at least 300 years old. Sejun was annoyed by this, because then he need to record all the tower coins he had starting from now and pass them down from generation to generation, and eventually his 7th generation grandchildren will receive it. He decided to prioritize what he can do for his survival. As of now he knew that he could only purchase corn seeds. Well, it was not a bad choice either. He purchased 200 waxy corn seeds. Everyone was happy now. They decided to eat something first. They cooked the fish and ate it. The honeybee came back after so many days. Suddenly the honeybee and the black warrior rabbit noticed something above. A sound came from above. It was a cat. A cat who could talk. The cat asked everyone that he was not a shameless cat who is here to steal their food. The cat then came down and stood in front of Sejun. The cat said hello and asked if he was Park Sejun. He gave his name as Theo, the wandering merchant. In his diary, Sejun wrote about meeting the wandering cat. Sejun had heard long ago that they would meet a wandering merchant when they went up in the tower, but he didn't expect the wandering merchant to be a cat. Sejun noticed the physical characteristics of the cat, his shiny eyes and those chubby, soft cheeks. It seemed like Park Sejun really liked cats. The cat came to know that a new rookie had made transactions in the seed store, and he came here to greet him and make some deals. Sejun was confused about what kind of deals the cat was offering. While they were talking, the cat's stomach made some sounds as he was hungry. He informed that he hadn't eaten anything today. Sejun had a weird smile on his face. Sejun offered him a roasted fish. At first, the cat declined as he could not touch the customer's food. Sejun lured him by talking more about the fish's texture. He finally ate 5 fish and was full. The cat thanked Sejun for the food. As he was about to talk about the deals, Sejun asked him for 0.5 tower coins, asking him to pay for the fish he just ate. The cat was in shock and asked if it wasn't for free, to which Sejun replied that nothing is free of cost in this world. The cat then gave 0.5 tower coins to Sejun. The cat was sad as he came here to take the customer's money, but instead, he was the one who was giving away the money. He decided that he couldn't be defeated like this and that he would definitely sell all his things. The cat then removed a few items from his bag and kept them in front of Sejun: a tumbler, a mini fan, and a portable hand warmer. He started advising about the specialty of the objects. The cat informed about the tumbler, how it could hold hot or cold stuff inside it and maintain the temperature. Talking about the mini fan, he said it had a wind magic enchantment. Sejun cut him off while he was speaking and said all the items he brought were trash. The cat became angry and said that these items were from outside the tower and he was not recognizing their value. Sejun responded that he was also someone from outside the tower and said that there was no such magic inside these things. Sejun informed that he got scammed by someone as this fan also works on battery, and it already ran out of it too. The cat was worried and started checking the fan. The cat started crying, and his tone also changed. He started crying, asking why he gets scammed every time. Sejun politely asked Theo to tell him what happened. Theo informed that he was from the 75th floor, one of the tower's neutral zones. Theo informed that for a long time, he had a crush on Meryl, the most beautiful girl in the Granner village. His friends convinced him to confess his feelings to Meryl. However, Meryl rejected him by throwing his fish bouquet away and calling him cheap. Theo insisted that he worked so hard to get these roasted fish. Then came a cat who was the son of the richest cat in the village. He gifted Meryl a high-quality salmon, and Meryl accepted it. Theo tried to stop Meryl and asked her to remember all the memories they shared together. Meryl rejected everything and said that she just smiled at him a few times, and he got all delusional and kept following even though she said she didn't like him. She said she hated poor cats that smelled cheap rice fish like him the most. So then Theo decided to run away and become a wandering merchant with the determination to become rich and get his revenge. He even bought the necessary license and equipment to become a wandering merchant using his lifelong savings worth 50 tower coins. He was going to buy something from the peddler with the remaining 5 tower coins to resell them. He met Scarum in a place, and he informed him that things from outside the tower were really precious. Theo asked why he was informing him about this secret, to which he said because he liked him. Scarum influenced Theo to purchase all the items. He thought he was going to make more money by selling all the stuff, but all of them were rubbish, and the customer took away all his remaining money. Sejun gave it a thought and asked Theo to eat more fish. Theo denied as he thought that Sejun was going to charge him again for the fish. Sejun denied and said he would consider everything he ate before as a treat. In exchange, he asked him if he could work with them. Sejun wrote in his diary about how he found a partner. The cat confirmed what Sejun had just said. Sejun needed a good merchant to sell his items. Theo doubted himself, seeing himself as just a noob and a useless wandering merchant. Sejun praised his ability and how he had just found a business partner with the story he had told. Theo was confused at this point. Sejun called the rabbits, and they prepared a seat for Sejun and Theo to relax and talk about their business. Sejun recounted what had happened with him and gave him an offer that was a win-win situation for both of them. The offer was that Theo would take Sejun's items and sell them to other people, and Sejun would give an incentive from some of the sales revenue. Sejun advised that Theo had to sell the items above the prices he set. He could sell at a much higher price because he had the ability for it. He would get 3 to 5% of the price of items that he would sell. Theo thought that the condition was too unfavorable for him. Sejun mentioned that he hadn't told him the most important thing yet. He would also pay Theo with 10 grade fish or equivalent coins per week. These were the terms and conditions of the proposed contract that Sejun offered Theo. Theo was scared, as he had been deceived like this before. Theo couldn't control himself and asked for 20 grilled fish. Sejun, in a good mood, offered him 25 more fish. Besides the weekly pay, he could eat as much fresh credit as he wanted. Theo couldn't say no to this. Sejun asked for a paper and made a contract. They both agreed to the contract by putting their fingerprints. The contract was complete. A social window appeared and stated the lifetime distribution contract. Sejun knew that inside the tower, a contract is one of the most important documents that cannot be destroyed. Sejun was confused before as to why they would make it this way, but now he understood that it was because it would be effective and more valid this way. Theo was concerned about the fourth clause, as it said that Theo should use the Naya accent when selling items. He asked Sejun about the same, to which Sejun replied that he'd understand it later. Sejun had a lot of belief in Theo's ability to sell things. Now came the real question in Theo's head: what would he be selling? Sejun informed him that he'd be selling cherry tomatoes. Theo asked about the selling price. 0.05 tower coin per piece, said Sejun. Theo asked for 1,000 cherry tomatoes. Sejun prepared 1,000 cherry tomatoes along with 25 grilled fish as his weekly payment. Sejun was confused as to how he would carry this. Theo had an item called the bundle, which had preservation magic, space expansion magic, and magic that would make it lightweight. Theo went for the sale. A few days later, on the 38th floor of the tower, fighting was going on between some warriors and a monster spider. The warriors tried to corner the monster, using powers such as throwing fireballs from their bare hands. The leader of the Phoenix Guild, Kim Dongshik, sliced the head of the monster with just one sword skill. He was not interested in people's praise. He then asked Jessica that he wouldn't let her off if she cheated like the last time. She was clearly flirting with the leader. From behind the bush came Theo. He introduced himself to the warriors, and as he said the Naya, every girl present there found him cute. Then he realized why Sejun told him to do so. He then presented them with the cherry tomatoes. A few of them misjudged the food item and showed no interest. But then Theo asked everyone to check its status. Everybody just read the first line that it increases 0.01 MP for 10 minutes, which everybody found too low. Knowing that it would cost 0.05 tower coins per piece, they were not interested in this. As they started to go away, a lady read the line where it said you will lose 10 grams of fat when you eat it. Everybody stopped just by listening to this, and everybody started reading the status again. Everyone got crazy over this. Someone asked for 100 cherry tomatoes, and some asked for 200, and some asked for everything he had. Suddenly, everybody was interested in the cherry tomatoes, and they purchased each and every last one of them. Everything was sold out. Out of the 1,000 carrot seeds Sejun bought and planted from the seed store, only 700 have sprouted. Of the 12 magic cherry tomato seeds he planted after harvesting them from the plants, only 732 have sprouted and are growing. The germination rate of the corn and sweet potato seeds he bought from the seed store and personally planted is about 60 to 70%. The germination rate of the carrots and cherry tomatoes is also similar. Sejun wanted the sprouts to grow more, but as his farmer level was low, or maybe the land wasn't fertile because it was inside a cave, the sprouts were not growing faster. But he was sure that he would find a better way to cultivate them later. Now, with Theo there to earn the tower coins, he just needed to harvest as many crops as possible. Meanwhile, the black rabbit was now an expert in fishing. In one go, he used to catch 5 to 6 fish. He was proud of himself. Sejun praised the black warrior rabbit. The black rabbit's body was shining as he was leveling up. Sejun decided to take a break, and he went to have coffee. It seemed that Theo and the goblin never opened the tumbler. If Theo were to sell this coffee to Sejun, he might spend all his money just to buy this. As they didn't have any tools to boil water, they used ice cubes to make iced Americano and used the bee for honey. He made honey Americano. It was a combination of coffee powder dissolved in the cool cave water mixed with poison bees' thick honey to create a perfect harmony of bitter and sweet taste. With just one sip, this combination can relieve fatigue and hunger. But the rabbits didn't like the taste of it. Sejun assumed that the rabbit's tongue has a better sense of bitter taste than humans. The honeybee made a beehive up there, which means she was also staying with them. A new quest was generated. The tower manager asked Sejun to give 10 magic cherry tomatoes. But this time, the refusal was not death, it was disappointment. Sejun understood that they had realized something after seeing his deal with Theo. Their threats like "offer me or I'll kill you" had disappeared now. Sejun offered the cherry tomatoes. The manager thanked him first for his kindness. Meanwhile, somewhere in the tower, the goblins were discussing Theo's return. They were curious as to why he hadn't returned yet. They were laughing at Theo being a pushover and how Scarum sold trashy items easily by deceiving Theo. Scarum was now planning to deceive Theo again. He was thinking of buying him a glass of milk, informing him about a big opportunity, and then lending him his money to accomplish it. Poor Theo would have to work hard and repay the loan he borrowed from him. But he won't be able to pay his debt, let alone the ever-increasing interest. In the end, Theo will become his slave till death. This was his plan. The other goblin asked him to find him soon, as it is not easy to find such a pushover. He acted smart and said not to be reckless for your prey. He then started looking at today's wandering merchant sales ranking. He was finally in the top 1,000. He was happy that he deceived Theo and sold those trashy items. But soon he realized that Theo's ranking was even higher than his. He was furious and started thinking that it was impossible for him to sell those things. Theo came back after a couple of days. Theo was playing out there for 4 days after selling all the stuff. Theo told him that he needs 10 days to make a round trip to the 30th floor. But still, he had time to play for 4 days even after selling out. Sejun was confused and angry at the same time. He asked Theo to explain everything properly if he doesn't want to see a scary side of him. He explained everything and gave Sejun 50 tower coins, from which Sejun returned 2 tower coins. Theo wanted more, but he got demoted as he was playing for 4 days out there. And if he works hard next time, Sejun will raise the incentive to 5%. He asked Theo about his dialect. Theo said he decided to live this way as humans like this side more. Sejun thought that soon he'd be famous. Theo was confused. Sejun explained that on every tomato, the farmer's name is displayed on the stats. Theo was in big trouble, as there was a system for a beginner wandering merchant that forcibly hides the origin of their goods. This policy was meant to prevent wealthy wandering merchants from stealing the suppliers of beginner wandering merchants. And because Theo was still a beginner wandering merchant, Sejun's name as the cultivator of the crops has been forcibly covered. Theo got worried that if Sejun gets to know about this, he will be demoted to an intern or a part-timer. He started acting weird and asked Sejun for more tomatoes for selling. Sejun asked him to relax for a few days, but he didn't listen and started collecting the tomatoes. Now the only way to remove the restriction to display the cultivator's name was to achieve 1,000 power coins and become a mid-level wandering merchant. Outside a big building, the warriors in casual dress were having a conversation about certain things being possible or not. Suddenly, the leader got a message from his daughter with a picture of cherry tomatoes and told him that he was the best dad ever and how much she loves him. His eyes got teary from happiness. A fellow member asked their leader about what happened. He said his daughter used to be annoyed every day because she was struggling with her diet. He regretted that he only bought 20 pieces last time. If he knew she'd like it this much, he would have bought everything. Another guy was confused as to why girls and women were going crazy about these cherry tomatoes. Another one added that he was in a fling with a girl, and he gave her the cherry tomatoes, and now they're dating. That guy still had a few cherry tomatoes left. Everybody asked him to sell those to them. Everyone was going crazy to buy those cherry tomatoes, which eventually helped people to lose weight. The leader thought for a minute and ordered to gather everyone and to move out to the 38th floor. Jessica and even the other team members were also ready. They were also ready with tower coins to purchase the cherry tomatoes. Everybody acted as if they wanted to go there to defeat the monster, but deep inside, everybody just wanted to purchase cherry tomatoes. The leader also made up his mind that he's going to buy the cherry tomatoes and become a great dad. Theo was wandering in the forest, thinking about when he would be able to reach the sales amount of 1,000 tower coins. The maximum amount of cherry tomatoes that could be stored in the bundle was 15 only. He was wondering that it's going to take forever to reach 1,000 tower coins, but he gathered courage and tried to focus on selling. From behind, a few warriors came and called him out. Seems like they were looking for Theo only. These people were waiting for 3 days to get the magical cherry tomatoes. When they confirmed the rate of cherry tomatoes, Theo said it was increased. Now it is 0.07 tower coins. Theo was afraid for a moment that he increased the price too much. But everybody was cool with it and said it'd be weird if such a great item costs so cheap. They purchased everything from Theo. Even though he raised the price, all the 15 cherry tomatoes were sold in a minute. They asked Theo about when he will appear again. Theo replied he'll be back in 10 days. Seems like now Theo had regular customers. A few girls came and started discussing among themselves that they look alike, pointing out at Theo. They informed him that he looks like a cat they know. The girl then removed Chiru from her bag, which is a famous Korean cat snack, and gave it to Theo. She lured him to give all the chiru only if he will click a picture with her. Then they clicked a picture together. Meanwhile, in the cave, Sejun was teaching a black warrior rabbit to swim because recently, as he was leveling up due to excitement, he jumped into the pond. But he was not harmed luckily. Sejun removed his bottle and noticed that the honey was over. When he looked up at the beehive, he noticed that small babies of poison bees were roaming. Sejun decided to congratulate her, but he didn't want to do that without any gift for her. He called out for the honeybee to come out, but the babies took it in a different way and tried to attack Sejun. The black warrior rabbit was ready to fight them. But suddenly a large-sized bee came out, which was the queen poisonous honeybee. Sejun was confused as if she's the honeybee he used to meet. We see honeybees. It was an insect type, carnivorous monster found in the tower that hunted its prey using its poisonous sting, and that was all the tower manager knew about them. The tower manager was nervously reading a book titled Ultimate Handbook for Tower Manager. He is concerned with the situation, but there is nothing in the handbook that can help him do his job more efficiently. There is no explanation for the situation in which a honeybee evolved, but since it did not look dangerous, the manager decided to just keep an eye on the situation for now, and he would ask for the details about honeybees and what to do with them from his grandfather later. He thinks that he already has a solution if this situation turns into a problem. Meanwhile, in the cave, the black warrior rabbit was stunned to see the honeybee, which now looks more like a humanoid monster. Sejun asks her if she is the cute little poison honeybee, and she cheerfully smiles as she affirms. Sejun cannot believe it. Despite the bee's confirmation, he says that her looks have changed a lot, and the bee blushes as she thinks that he is flirting with her. After the day she first drank nectar from Sejun's cave, the bee suddenly felt changes in her body. Every time she ate the nectar, those changes became more prominent. Her body committed a strong center that did not sit well with other bees, and she also gained a lot of weight. Ultimately, even the queen of her colony noticed her and got wary of her. The bee soon realized why everyone was on edge around her and why the queen was wary of her. The reason was that she had become capable of laying eggs. Although it was a surprise for her, the little bee decided to take this chance and become independent. She left her previous hive and made a hive inside Sejun's cave, because that was the safest place she could think of. Inside her new hive, Bee silently suffered from the pain of transformation, and after several rounds of transformation, she finally attained the human-like form of a queen bee. She herself was shocked at how she looked after the final transformation. Sejun congratulates the bee for becoming a queen. He says that even though the timing is a bit awkward, he has brought a gift for her and she has the tomato flower bouquet. The queen bee is touched. She is so happy that she hugs she and starts rubbing her cheeks with his. Seeing that their mother was so friendly with the human, the baby bee also decided to follow her lead. They cling to him and start cuddling with him. Sejun is initially overwhelmed but quickly adapts to the change. The baby honeybees are now friendly with the rabbits too, and as the queen bee does not leave Sejun, he says that he likes her too. A few days have passed since that incident and it is the day of the blue moon again, but it seems to have already passed when the rabbits wake up. He is still sleepy as he asked them what's the matter. He thought that he could sleep peacefully during this blood moon, but the excited rabbits are leading him towards the farms. There the father rabbit points towards the plant and she finds that it was a carrot blessed with the power of the blue moon. He was surprised when he sees the carrot with the energy of the blue moon. He had not expected this to happen as the carrots were still quite small, but he thinks that it's great that he can harvest it so early now. And seeing the rabbits excitedly gathered around the special carrot, Sejun realizes that this is the reason why they disturbed his sleep and rushed him. Sejun decides to harvest the carrot and pulls it out with the rabbits going crazy with excitement. Carrot was of a decent size, and as Sejun reads its information window, he finds that it was an agility carrot since it was blessed by the blue moon. The agility carrot could boost the agility stats of the consumer by 0.05 permanently. Its rank with E+, and Sejun got 70 experience points for harvesting it. His proficiency with his level 2 skill harvest also increased greatly, and think that since it was an E+ ranked crop, he got more experience than ordinary crops, and he thinks that by harvesting more high quality crops like this, he will get 70 experience points instead of 50, and then Sejun decides to do the right thing. He says that he has no claim on the carrot and gives it to the rabbits, who are happy to receive it. Sejun thanks them for their hard work and asks them to keep helping him in the future. The rabbit family is excited to try out a rare version of their favorite delicacy, and then the sickle rabbit volunteers to cut the carrot into equal parts. Her father tosses the carrot up and she accurately cuts it into 7 equal parts. Everyone gets one piece and she compliments the sickle rabbit's skill. She is also proud of what she just did and her siblings clap for her, but there is one rabbit who is not happy. The black rabbit feels like he has the smallest part of the carrot. Then Sejun harvests the cherry tomatoes blessed with the energy of the blue moon. This time there were 5 such tomatoes. Sejun remembers that the tower manager had given him a quest to offer a blue cherry tomatoes, and this was the right time to fulfill a quote. The quest is completed as the manager accepts the tomato and thanks Sejun for it. Sejun says that if he was really thankful, he should give him a skill as a reward. The tower manager replies that he will think about it and give it to him in a little while, but said and asked the tower manager what he meant by thinking about it, but then suddenly Sejun is disturbed by scream. Sejun was excited to meet Theo, but he turns back to find him in trouble surrounded by the baby poison bees who thought of him as an intruder, and he is terrified. He asks to tell the poison bees do not attack him. Sejun remembers that Theo was not here when the poison honeybees were born, and that is why they did not know him, and she sees the typical reaction a threatened cat would show. He wonders if the bees thought of him as a threat to clear up the confusion. Sejun picks up and starts rubbing cheeks with him. He tells the bees that Theo was not an enemy, he was family. The baby honeybees have also accepted Theo as a friend and they peacefully disperse. Theo thanks Sejun for saving him and calls him brother, and Sejun pulls his cheek and responds asking why he was suddenly addressing him as brother. He was just an employee and he should not dare talk like that to his employer, they were not on the same level. He replies that Sejun said that they were family, but he apologizes for getting ahead of himself and also because his cheek hurts. Now Sejun leaves him and then gets to business. He asks that to show him the money from the sale of cherry tomatoes so that they can get down to calculation. The hands a pouch full of tower coins, and Sejun is pleased to find that contains 75 tower coins, the full price for the 15 cherry tomatoes. Sejun compliments Theo for working hard and Theo has another surprise for him. He excitedly shows Sejun another bag full of tower coins. The humans have been waiting to buy cherry tomatoes from him for some time, so he thought it was fine to increase the price by 0.02 tower coins, and they still bought the tomatoes. As Sejun checks the contents of the bag, Theo asks him if he was surprised by his performance. He knows that he did well and now wants back the position of the sales cat. Sejun hands him his incentive. He calls the cat employee, that again making him sad. Theo says that Sejun should give him another title. He had done well, so why could he not become the salesman, but Sejun tells him that he is still unqualified for that position. He tells that he would have to work much harder. Theo is sad and the black warrior rabbit consoles him as he ran about how hard it was to be a sales cat. Tower manager gave tip to Sejun beforehand only about Theo making more money. Theo then pulls out churu from his bag and starts eating. Upon asking that from where did he get those, he informed that some people who clicked pictures with him gave him this. Sejun thought, why would a hunter bring an unnecessary thing like churu just to meet a cat? An idea crossed his mind and he smiled towards Theo. Sejun got an idea in his mind after seeing that people were so eager to meet Theo and purchase things from him. When he looked at Theo, Theo thought Sejun wants to eat churu, so he offered him churu nervously. Sejun took away all the churu from Theo and said he was confiscating this. Theo was sad and asked it back. Theo said he got that after taking a picture with the human. Sejun informed him that he made a deal and took a picture with the human. According to their special condition number 3, without Party A's permission, Party B cannot have additional clients. This is a serious breach of contract. Theo was shocked to know this and started crying. Sejun consoled Theo and addressed him as Sales Cat Theo and asked about the new clients. Theo curiously asked Sejun if he was back to being the Sales Cat Theo. Sejun said he'll let him hold the position for 1 hour. If he does well in the future trades, he can even become Sales Cat for multiple hours. Theo was happy to hear this offer. Sejun held him up and made him sit on his lap and started explaining. Sejun and Theo sat in front of a bonfire. Sejun asked him to lay down comfortably and eat this churu. Theo was enjoying this experience. He was assuming if being a sales cat allowed these kinds of privileges. While he was getting this treatment here, also asked for grilled fish. Sejun quickly prepared the grilled fish for Theo. While Sejun was making the fish, he asked Theo how he was able to go to the 38th floor without fighting any monster. Theo responded that it was because of his wandering merchant license. Theo informed Sejun about the badge on his neck, which was a sign that he was a wandering merchant. For this, he had to annually pay an expensive membership fee to the Wandering Merchants Association to maintain this license. The higher the level is, the more you need to pay the money each year. But you also get more benefits. Theo also explained that if you have the Wandering Merchant license, you can use various association-protected facilities, like not being attacked by the monster is one of the specialties of the Wandering Merchant. Sejun asked if he can bring hunters to this floor. Theo said it was impossible because although monsters won't attack the Wandering Merchants, they will still attack the hunters beside. There is an exclusive shortcut called Merchant Passageway that is only available to the wandering merchants. If anybody wants to go to other floors using the shortcut, they must have the wandering merchant license first, otherwise without the Merchant Passageway it is impossible to come here from the 38th floor in just 5 days. Sejun asked Theo which floor was this. He informed that this was the 99th floor. Sejun was shocked to know this information. He fell down after listening to this. Theo was concerned about Sejun. Sejun was lost in his own thoughts when Theo informed him that his weekly pay was reduced to ash. Sejun knew that it's only been a few weeks since the hunter started climbing the 40th floor. As he was the 99th floor, he was thinking of giving up on leaving the tower. Theo was giving Sejun an order to grill the fish properly, and don't burn it like the last one. Sejun informed him that his 1 hour was finished. Sejun noticed something on Theo. Few soldiers were injured and resting in a place. However, they were worried about no food left with them. There were too many monsters in the world for them to safely carry the wounded back. A sound came from behind. A man asked if the hunters needed some help. It was Sejun and Theo. The people there recognized him as the legendary wandering merchant in Tower Farmer Park. Sejun. Seems like Sejun was imagining all of this in his own mind. He asked Theo if it was possible for him to become a wandering merchant. Theo informed him that only creatures born inside the tower can become a wandering merchant. Sejun was very furious and he started scratching his head and shouting. Everybody was shocked there, the rabbits and the bees, as they have seen him behaving like this for the first time. The tower manager also heard something. After a moment, Sejun realized that if he gets angry, it will be his loss, and he decided to live every moment to the full. In the human world, in an office, a woman has brought 2 magical cherry tomatoes to show a man. He asks her if they were the rumored magical fruits that were recently gaining popularity among the hunters. The woman says that he was right. These were the same mysterious fruits. They belonged to her brother, who was a part of the Phoenix Guild. He had told her about his meeting with a wandering merchant from whom he bought these tomatoes. She cannot see the information window on the fruits, but she knows that the man is a hunter and can see it. The woman is named Jenny and she is the CEO of a pharmaceutical company. The man is called Michael McLaren and he is the vice president of the food company. He laughs as he reads the description of the magical cherry tomato. He is not impressed and calls it a crappy item, asking what Jenny wants to do with it, but she asked him if Michael, who is the vice president of a company that controlled 39% of the global food market, lost his touch for business. Michael does not like her words and tells her that even though she is the CEO of the pharma company, nothing good will come out of running her mouth carelessly. That was a warning and a threat for her not to speak nonsense. But Jenny is not intimidated by the threat. She confidently snaps her fingers and a screen opens up showing the details of the research they had done on the cherry tomatoes. It mentions that not only the cherry tomatoes dissolve 10 grams of fat instantly upon consumption, but they could also improve one's metabolism, could increase the basal metabolite by 10%, meaning a person would burn more calories while doing the basic life-sustaining things like breathing and digesting food. As Michael read the report, he was stunned. It seems too good to be true, and now he realized what Jenny wanted to say. She explains that they failed to extract the active compound of the magic cherry tomatoes in the lab. It was obvious since the tomatoes were an item from the tower, but even in such a short period of time, they were able to get some astonishing results from their research which were already beyond their imagination. Michael reclines in his chair as he asked Jenny what her reason was to show him this information. This was a business she could monopolize on her own, but Jenny replies that she needs something from the vice president. She needs his previously unsuccessful tower farming project. Michael is shocked. He asked how Jenny knew about the project, but she just laughed, so she gets up. Jenny asks Michael if he does not want to regain the trust of his father, who is the current president of Gaggle Company. The board of directors was going to choose the new chairman of the company on behalf of the current chairman, who was sick, and it seems that Jenny has eyes on that position. That is why she was willing to exchange this valuable information with Michael. She asked him what he thinks. She asks if the cherry tomato looks appetizing to him. Michael grins as he takes the cherry tomato from her hand and then eats it. It was sweet and delicious. Sejun had an idea that it was impossible for him to get out of this cave, so he decided to make a plan according to his survival. He gathered everyone in the middle and started making plans. First, he decided to fix the inconveniences they had experienced up until now. Also, they needed to increase the items they needed for daily activities. Also, they needed to have an idea about the nearby environment for their safety. Sejun asked Theo if there were any monsters near the cave. Theo informed that there were none nearby. However, there was one bit farther away. On being asked what kind of monster it is, Theo replied it is a crimson giant bear, the same bear which she saw on the night of the blue moon. Sejun understood that it was still dangerous to go out of the cave. He knew that thousands of cherry tomato flowers will be blooming soon, and if there are lots of flowers, the number of poison honeybees will increase as well. In that case, he decided he can use the poison bees to patrol near the cave, ensuring that no monster can get close. Furthermore, he decided he can also ask the poison bees to tie the rope he made using onion leaves to nearby trees so that he can get out of this cave. He stood up and gave Theo a mission. He encouraged him by saying that it was an extremely critical mission that only a sales cat can accomplish. Upon asking if they can do that, Theo was ready for it. After a few days on the 30th floor, they noticed that compared to the last time there were a lot more people here. It was as if they were securing this place. But it was a good thing for Theo because this time the more buyers, the better the sale will be. He jumped to the ground. Everybody noticed him and started rushing towards the wandering merchant cat. People started asking for the miraculous cherry tomatoes and offered to buy all of them. People started conflicting among each other. Theo stopped them and said that he has changed his selling method. People were curious to know about the new selling method. Theo informed that starting today he will be selling 500 pieces of cherry tomatoes to the person who pays the highest price. People were shocked to listen. Theo also informed those without money can simply leave. He asked 35 tower coins for 500 pieces of cherry tomatoes. Sejun knew that the popularity of the cherry tomatoes outside the tower is higher than he thought. Judging from the fact that people gave Theo churu to win his favor, he bet that there is some psychological competition to secure the item. Sejun also knew that since the supply is limited and the number of people that needed it will increase certainly, and it was the best way for him to make more money out of this, so he came up with this idea of auction. Along with that, Sejun also gave other missions to Theo. He was going to confirm the trading skill using this opportunity. Sejun stood up and decided to get back to work. He also asked the Black Rabbit to prepare for the dinner. While he stood up, an additional quest was requested by the tower manager. This time the tower manager asked for 1 glass of magical cherry tomatoes, mixed with the honey Sejun drank. Sejun informed that squeezing the cherry tomatoes will take a long time and he need to work right now. He asked if he can do it later for him. The tower manager was not agreeing to this. He demanded that Sejun must complete the quest right now. The tower manager also requested him to complete the quest as soon as possible because they have prepared an amazing job skill for Sejun. Sejun was confused if the tower manager wanted to show off his quest reward or he just wanted to drink the cherry tomato juice. Sejun anyhow decided to make it. He had already sped 50 cherry tomatoes that he harvested and put some honey into it and shared it with the babies. He took more cherry tomatoes from his storage and squeezed them. All he asked Queen Honeybee for her help. The queen bee gave honey, and the cherry tomato juice was ready. The cherry tomato juice with a drop of honey was a juice made from squeezing the cherry tomatoes and extracting their thick juice. The honey from the queen of the poisonous honeybee makes the taste sweeter and richer. A chunk of cherry tomatoes that are occasionally chewed creates an exciting sensation. He offered the juice to the tower manager. The tower manager was really curious about its taste and was flapping his wings listening to it. She was curious that what kind of animal it was. The tower manager also praised Sejun because the juice was very delicious. He received the quest reward. The skill was beekeeping. In this skill, the user can apply beekeeping skills on the beehive they own. The honeybees in the hives the user owns won't show hostility towards them. The user can also give specific instruction to the honeybees. With the skill, the queen bee's egg-laying speed will slightly increase. The honeybee's speed of collecting honey will also increase, and the pollination rate will also slightly increase. Sejun was really happy with this reward, and he asked if the tower manager was perhaps listening to his concerns. He thanked the tower manager. Sejun was curious to know what kind of animal the tower manager was, and he asked, "Are you perhaps a winged pig?" The tower manager was angry with that, and he started shouting at Sejun through the window message. Meanwhile, on the 38th floor, people got to know about the auction for the cherry tomatoes. The team leader Dongshik really wanted to purchase the cherry tomatoes for her daughter because for now the most important thing for him was to secure the cherry tomatoes. He decided that he can pull money from the people who need the tomatoes. The team leader gave a prize for 41 tower coins, but later on another man gave the prize as 45 coins. People started raising the price for the cherry tomatoes. It reached up to 54 tower coins. But suddenly a man from behind said 100 tower coins. The man was no other than the hunter from the outside tower from the office. The auction was closed and it was sold to the man 400 tower coins. People started noticing that he was Michael, the vice president of Gagel, the one that is called the young master of hunters. People were curious to know why this guy was here. A soldier named Chris came and asked why he was here as he was off duty on this expedition quest. He responded that his sister asked him to guide Mr. Michael to the place where the wandering merchant was. Chris's sister was the CEO of the pharmaceutical company. The team leader was angry that now they have to compete against Big Pharma Company as well. He knew that there are only 2 rounds of actions left and he decided that he must win this time. Theo started the auction for the next item. Theo initiated the auction for the next item, once again commencing the bidding at 35 tower coins. The team leader, eager to secure the win this time, offered 60 tower coins. However, someone requested 100 tower coins. Frantically, the team leader began asking people to lend him money. Theo attempted to start the next round at 35 tower coins, but Michael intervened, stating a bid of 100 coins. He declared that he would purchase all 15 with 300 tower coins. The team leader felt devastated. Another soldier suggested aiming for the next opportunity. Addressing the vice president, one of the men inquired about their next course of action. Michael expressed his satisfaction with the purchase, remarking that it was advantageous to come directly here. He directed everyone to head to the first floor of the tower. While Theo packed his belongings, the 2 girls who had previously taken pictures with him returned. Recognizing them, he greeted, "You're the ones who gave me Koru," though he didn't properly recall their names. The girls asked Theo if they could take another picture together, offering Churu in return. Theo declined the deal, requesting coffee instead, similar to Churu. The girls produced the coffee mix from their pocket, inquiring if that was what he meant. They also asked if he needed salt and pepper. The girls provided everything he asked for, indicating that these were additional tasks assigned by Sejun. Sejun had instructed Theo to request coffee, salt, or pepper when people asked to take pictures with him. Depending on his performance, Sejun promised to let Theo become a sales cat for a couple of hours. Theo then took pictures with the girls, shaking hands with them and expressing gratitude for the deal. When one of the girls touched Theo's paw, she was astonished by its softness, as she had never felt something so smooth. In exchange, she gave Theo more items as he allowed her to touch his paws. Theo was amazed to learn that humans enjoyed touching his feet because they lacked such soft and pretty toe beans. Another girl approached Theo, asking for a picture as she had given him a paper earlier. Theo agreed, taking several pictures with her. He then asked her to touch his toes and offer a reward in exchange. Theo ended up accumulating a lot of stuff but suddenly remembered his other missions to complete. While the girl uploaded her picture with him on social media, Theo approached her from behind and asked if she hailed from the Republic of South Korea. The girl was shocked by his knowledge. Theo explained that he could discern this from her familiar scent. Meanwhile, in the cave, things were progressing smoothly as the bee population steadily increased, enhancing Sejun's beekeeping skills. Additionally, the queen bee had been laying eggs lately, and Sejun hadn't seen her in a long time. There were also some ambiguous changes in the description of the beekeeping skill, and Sejun wasn't sure if they would affect the maximum number of beehives, which had increased from 1 to 2. He contemplated that if he could split the beehive later, he could manage both and increase efficiency. The honey bottle was almost full, and he knew he would need another container to store it. However, for now, he focused on a more important task, harvesting the carrots. As he picked one from the ground, his rabbit friends gathered around to eat it. Sejun selected an agility carrot, and his job experience increased. A few days after harvesting the blue moon carrot, Sejun was able to harvest normal carrots as well, distributing one to each rabbit. The variety of cave food had increased by 1. Before eating, some rabbits bowed down in front of Sejun, holding carrots on their heads. The agility carrot, cultivated in the tower, was nutritious and tasty. When consumed, it broke down 10 grams of body fat and increased agility by 0.1 for 10 minutes, with effects stacking up to 10 within 1 hour. Sejun realized that, as it broke down fat and improved vision, once the harvest increased, he could sell them. After everyone ate, they began harvesting and moving the carrots to storage. The black rabbit grew tired and collapsed. Sejun also noticed that the storage was almost full. Deciding to wrap things up, he realized his level had increased to 10. A new quest appeared, and upon inquiring about it, the tower manager explained it was a level 10 quest required to progress to the next level and obtain new class traits. Sejun knew that typically hunters received combat-related quests, but as a farmer, his quest must be different. It required a 50 square meter expansion, which Sejun found easy to complete. As a reward, he reached level 11 and acquired 1 bonus start. He also gained 10 tower coins and a job trait, which allowed him to acquire XP every time he created a 1 meter square of crop field. Despite feeling exhausted, Sejun asked everyone to sleep and finish up tomorrow. As they returned to their homes, the parent rabbits ejected the small rabbits, explaining that it was time for them to become independent. Sejun decided they would sleep together as it was too late to dig tunnels. The team leader of the soldiers lamented not obtaining cherry tomatoes, fearing his daughter's disappointment. Lost in thought, he was approached by Theo and a lady, who indicated that Theo had something to discuss with him. Theo asked if the team leader was the leader of the group from Korea, which he confirmed. Theo then proposed a contract with him. Theo asked the team leader if he would like to make a contract with him. The team leader was a bit confused. Theo passed on a piece of paper to the team leader. When he read the letter, it was mentioned that he should give 50 million to the family of Park Sejun, who lives in Sosa district, Bucheon. He also informed the team leader to tell Saju's parents that Sejun was doing well. In return, we will pay you 50 tower coins and 200 magical tomatoes. The team leader was really happy with us as now he can be the best dad for his daughter. The team leader was curious as to who Mr. Park Sejun was. The team leader assumed that it was a message to a family. Is he perhaps a hunter who can't go out of the tower right now? Theo remembered that Sejun told him that it's a secret to the others that he was on the 99th floor. Theo lied to the team leader that Mr. Park Sejun saved his life on the 40th floor, so he was doing errands for him. The team leader was shocked to know that there is a hunter on the 40th floor. He also asked if he was the one who found the magical cherry tomatoes but declined to answer any of these questions. He said Mr. Park Sejun is a great man, so he has a lot of secrets. The team leader thought that even if they build a team comprising the best team members, it will still be difficult to get past the 39th floor, and he also never heard in the official about a hunter who has gotten that far. He thought if he was a solo hunter who doesn't belong to any guild, it was a great opportunity for him to keep in touch with him so they can recruit him to their guild. The team leader also thought that they can monopolize the distribution of these hard-to-find cherry tomatoes. The team leader then decided to get into the contract. Theo asked him to sign the paper. Once they both signed the contract, Theo informed the team leader that the deal is effective even outside the tower. The team leader asked Theo to meet after 10 days so that he can update about the information being delivered. The team leader also said to notify Mr. Park Sejun for him. The team leader took a note. He said, I, the Phoenix Guild's Kim Dongshik, will take the responsibility of delivering the news to his parents. Meanwhile, inside the cave, the rabbits were busy building a house. Right now, the black rabbit held Sejun and brought him to show their new house. Sejun was amazed to see their new house, a roof made up of green onions and solid earthen walls. The shovel rabbit and the sickle rabbit must have had a hard time making this. They also made a room to rest between the work hours. Sejun wished if he had something like that too. He praised everybody's hard work. Sejun noticed that it's been a couple of days since the rabbits moved out of the couple rabbits' house. He decided to have a housewarming party for the rabbits. The baby rabbits have started to build their houses, and the couple rabbits are still clinging to each other like before. Sejun raised a toast for the rabbits who worked hard. Sejun gave a glass of juice to the black rabbit and thanked him for always supplying them with excellent quality fish. He praised the rabbit's mind because they came up with an idea to make a cup by digging a hole in the carrot. Although it was a little small for him, it was still fun for him as he can eat the cup after finishing the drink. The couple rabbits were pulling each other's cheeks, and Sejun noticed them. He knew that the other rabbits are gonna have more younger siblings soon. Suddenly, a message popped up saying the seed store was opened. So much happened in the meantime Sejun completely forgot about the seed store. The seed store's due date was today. He had 3 options again, 100 potato seeds, 1,000 lettuce seeds, and 100 strawberry seeds. Sejun wanted to eat some samgyeopsal but there was no need to wrap inside the lettuce. The only option left was the strawberries and the potatoes. He had enough money, but he can only purchase one of them. In the end, he decided carbohydrates are the best and he selected the potato seeds. A sack of potatoes fell from the sky. Everybody was worried that it is about to fall on them. He took out a potato from the sack. It looked very delicious. He wanted to plant this right away to harvest it. Sejun decided that he's gonna steam it, boil it and even make potato pancakes. He was already excited to cook them. He asked everyone to take rest for today, and tomorrow they will focus on planting the potatoes. Suddenly, it reminded him about Theo. and he guessed that he must have completed his errands. In the central merchant district, there was a marketplace. Theo was buying a blanket and pillows, a ladle, a bowl, and a spoon, and he also took a frying pan. Theo asked the shopkeeper about the price for all of this. The shopkeeper asked for 1.6 tower coins. They asked for a discount. The shopkeeper mentioned that he has not seen Theo around here. He said he will be generous and give him a discount. He said he can get it for 1.5 tower coins. Theo asked for more discount, but the shopkeeper said that won't leave him anything, and he can't give any more discount. Theo then decided to buy them from somewhere else. The shopkeeper suddenly asked Theo to stop, and at last, he agreed to sell all of that for 1.2 tower coins. Theo gave the money and ran away. The shopkeeper noticed a mark on the table. Theo gasping finally he bought something without being an idiot. Thanks to Sejun because he gave a lecture about how to not be a stupid buyer. He informed Theo that at first, when they suggest a price, ask them for a discount, no matter what second. If they say no, just leave third. If they stop, you get a discount 3 times. Sejun asked Theo to remember these 3 things, and he won't be fooled. Theo was happy that the trick which she taught him really worked for him. He was happy that now he was wandering merchant who knows how to get a discount. Suddenly, Theo saw Scaram. Looks like he was fooling someone else this time. As Theo made his way back, he stumbled upon a new wandering merchant being deceived by Scaram, the goblin who had previously swindled him on the first day. Theo decides that he cannot let the evil goblin escape justice and must prevent others from being harmed. He rolls up his invisible sleeves and shouts at Scaram, though he fears what might happen next. However, he needs to maintain his facade in front of his new target. When Scaram asks Theo where he has been for so long and if the items he provided were satisfactory, Theo brushes him aside, admonishing him for daring to pretend to be trustworthy. Theo then turns to the newbie about to be scammed, warning her not to trust the goblin. Scaram feigns innocence, claiming he offered great items at affordable prices out of pity for Theo's situation. Now, he attempts to hold a knife to the neck of someone who saved him from drowning. Theo informs the newbie that the trinket she holds lacks any magical properties. It merely isolates the user from the outside world and hinders heat transfer, gradually lowering temperature. Theo asserts that magic does not exist and that all the items Scaram provided were worthless. The goblin is shocked by Theo's knowledge. Despite Scaram's attempts to sweet-talk Theo, he remains unmoved. Theo calls over nearby guards and exposes Scaram's deceitful actions toward novice merchants. The goblin, realizing he's been caught, vows retribution before fleeing. Theo consoles the newbie, advising her not to believe anything Scaram said. After thanking Theo, the new merchant inquires about his name before departing. As soon as Theo leaves, the newbie reveals her true identity, a fox with red eyes. She declares their mission accomplished and commands everyone to reveal themselves. Several dogs, dressed in uniform, assemble before her. Furious, she orders the elimination of any potential threats to their mission. The dogs apologize, explaining that agents have been monitoring the surrounding area as planned, although they're unsure how the wandering cat merchant intervened. The newbie, revealed as Agent Zaraf, a member of the Secret Inspection Bureau within the Wandering Merchant Association, instructs everyone to return to headquarters. She imposes a punishment of writing 100 letters of apology to reflect on their mistake. Recently, they received numerous reports of a fraudulent merchant within the association, and after extensive surveillance, they tracked Scaram's movements. He possessed items exclusively found outside the tower, raising suspicions of illegal acquisition. Though capturing him seemed impossible, they managed to make contact while posing as novice merchants. However, Theo's intervention thwarted their on-the-spot arrest. Zaref speculates that Theo and Scaram are at odds. Meanwhile, in the cave, Sejun teaches a rabbit how to harvest potatoes, instructing it to slice them and plant the cut sections after moistening the soil. Sejun recalls planting 400 potato seeds with 100 potatoes, gaining experience points and leveling up. As they work on sweet potatoes, Sejun educates the rabbits about removing the vines before digging them up, explaining that farming relies on timing and skill proficiency. Together, they expand their potato field to 500 square meters, earning Sejun more experience points and a bonus stat. The rabbits celebrate jovially, singing and dancing around Sejun, anticipating a bountiful harvest of sweet potatoes. They perform a cheer dedicated to tower farmers. Sejun prepares to pick sweet potatoes when suddenly, a ray of light flashes towards him from the ground, growing brighter. Emerging from the light is a unique mutant vegetable, the sun pumpkin sweet potato, which absorbs sunlight at the tower's highest point and grants resistance to cold for 24 hours when consumed. Sejun earns an achievement for spawning a new breed, leaving him astonished. Meanwhile, team leader Dongshik arrives at Sejun's house. Sejun and the rabbits were astonished to see the sun pumpkin sweet potato. Sejun achieved the milestone of introducing a new variety in the tower. His job experience increased slightly, harvest proficiency level 2 increased slightly, and he gained 10 experience points. The tower granted him exclusive cultivation rights for the new variety. No one could cultivate the sun pumpkin sweet potato without Sejun's permission. He found it remarkable, realizing he was the sole proprietor of this unique potato, ensuring its exclusivity even if he sold it to others. This deal delighted him immensely. Curious about the taste, Sejun knew he had to grow it first since it was a new variety. After digging up the sun pumpkin sweet potato, he decided to continue harvesting regular sweet potatoes. They gathered a plentiful supply and cooked them deliciously. Sejun remarked that they were irresistible, and everyone eagerly devoured them. The tower manager waited for his turn, eagerly indulged in the sweet potatoes. Sejun thanked the manager for allowing the rabbits to eat first. Once they finished, Sejun offered 10 sweet potatoes to the tower manager, who graciously accepted. The tower manager quickly consumed all 10 sweet potatoes and contemplated requesting more. Meanwhile, he observed Sejun and the rabbit slicing and drying the potatoes on leaves. Angered by what he perceived as wastage, the tower manager questioned Sejun's actions. However, Sejun explained that he was not discarding the sweet potatoes but drying them to make something delicious, dried sweet potatoes. Outside the tower, the team leader arrived at Sejun's house. When he inquired if it was Park Sejun's residence, a family member rushed to greet him. They all gathered inside, offering the team leader berries and strawberries. Sejun's mother, unsure if it suited the guest's taste, apologized for the modest offering. The team leader graciously accepted, expressing gratitude even for a simple glass of water. Sejun's father asked about the reason for his visit and mentioned Sejun's absence. The team leader introduced himself as Kim Dong-sik, leader of the Phoenix Guild's 5th team. Sejun's brother, Sedol, was surprised to learn of the team leader's affiliation with the renowned Phoenix Guild. To confirm his identity, the team leader showed Sedol his guild identification card. Sedol informed the family of the guild's prominence and the team leader's status as a top-tier hunter. Concerned by the team leader's visit, Sejun's family hurried to offer high-grade melons. The team leader reassured them and requested to sit comfortably. Sejun's mother asked about Sejun's whereabouts, prompting the family to inquire further. The team leader explained that he was delivering something on behalf of Park Sejun. Placing an envelope on the table, the family feared it contained Sejun's will, assuming he was deceased. Their distress turned to relief when the team leader clarified it was not a will. Upon opening the envelope, they found a check for 50 million won. The team leader conveyed Sejun's apologies for abruptly entering the tower and assured them of his well-being. Overjoyed by the news, the family felt proud of Sejun. Despite their happiness, Sejun's mother expressed concern for his safety and questioned the team leader about his absence. He explained the constraints of quests and the risks hunters faced, preventing them from visiting their families. After bidding farewell, the team leader left to reunite with his own family. Reflecting on the completed contract quest, he received a call from his daughter and excitedly shared the news of his gift for her. Sejun completed planting the carrot tops, and his proficiency in sowing, level 2, also increased. He soaked the carrot tops left over from the rabbit's daily food in water for several days. When the leaves grew to a certain extent, he covered them with soil until the root part and sowed them into the ground. This caused the flowers to grow in the upper part, and the seeds were collected. This was the part Sejun liked the most about farming. While he was watching the flowers, the tower manager reminded him of the dried sweet potatoes. He looked at them, and the sweet potatoes were dried really well. Sejun and the rabbits ate them, and they were extremely delicious. The taste was so good that no one could resist the soft, chewy, and addicting texture. Sejun decided to try some more and eat them whenever he was bored. The tower manager asked Sejun if he was forgetting something. The tower manager also wanted to eat them. Sejun wrapped them as a gift package and then delivered them to the tower manager. Sejun expected a much better reaction from the tower manager, but in reality, the tower manager found it so cute that it was hard for him to eat them. The tower manager's reaction was overwhelming. Sejun dried 40 roasted potatoes, but everything disappeared as they all ate them. The queen bee gave Sejun a corn pollen bundle. Sejun noticed that she had already bombed all the flowers. Sejun really wanted to try the pollen as it was also used as a health supplement. Sejun ate it. He found it slightly bitter but sweet. It felt like eating candy. All the bees came and gave Sejun lots of pollen. While he was thanking the bees, Theo came back. Theo acted weird after seeing Queen Bee. Sejun informed him that they won't harm. Sejun asked Theo if he completed the task assigned to him. Theo affirmed and said he completed all the missions and even sold out all the cherry tomatoes. Sejun also got to know that the contract with the team leader was completed and his family was informed about him. Sejun was a bit relaxed that now his family was informed about his situation, and they could have never even imagined in their dreams that he would be entering the tower and farming with rabbits. He started remembering his family and his little brother, Settle. He was missing his family. When he was thinking about his family outside the tower, the rabbits, the honeybee, and Theo gathered around him, telling him that they were also his family. Theo informed Sejun that he used 50 tower coins for the contract fee and 14.2 tower coins for the guy. He still had 208.8 tower coins left. Sejun was shocked to know and was amazed by the fact that he had gathered this many tower coins. Theo also showed him the utensils he bought from the market. He noticed a short dagger. He was amazed to see the first weapon since coming to this tower, but there were question marks in the description section. Sejun asked Theo about where he got all of these. Theo informed him that he heard the blacksmith lottery corner sells things at a cheap price, so he chose what he thought was good. Sejun decided to use it, but he got a message from the tower manager that if he uses an unappraised item recklessly, he may get in big trouble. The tower manager offered that he would appraise it for him. The tower manager raised a request to give the short dagger to him so that he could appraise it for Sejun. The tower manager also asked for roasted sweet potato as a gift in order to appraise the short dagger. Sejun decided to give the weapon to the tower manager. The tower manager used his appraising skill and found that it wasn't an item that would cause any harm. Keynes' training short dagger, it was a weapon used for training. Sejun was shocked to know that it was a named weapon and outside named equipment starts with the basic price of 100 million won. Sejun was amazed by Theo's talent and that he was not just a naive pushover. Somewhere in the forest, a red small bear was seen. Sejun started using the dagger, and he was proud of his dagger using skill. Theo asked him if he liked that short dagger. Sejun affirmed and praised Theo that he brought this. But Theo reminded Sejun that he was Salescat Theo, not just Theo. Sejun held Theo's paw and noticed that it was soft and adorable. Sejun offered one more pack of chiru to Theo. Theo realized that at the end of the day, Sejun was also a human, and they all liked his paw. Sejun noticed that Theo was being more comfortable, so he informed him that his 1 hour of being a sales cat was over. Theo demanded to increase his time. Sejun strictly denied it. Theo thought this was the time to use his special move. Theo removed the other stuff from his bag. Sejun noticed that he brought all kinds of seasoning and other equipment as well. Theo informed that he got all of these rewards in exchange for taking pictures with the human. Sejun tasted salt after a very long time. He was really excited by the taste of the salt. Theo asked if he can be a sales cat for 2 or more hours, as Sejun was really happy with his job. He granted him to be a sales cat for 24 hours. After a while, Sejun started preparing a meal for himself and was adding salt to it. The smell of the spices spread all over the cave. The rabbits noticed that and came out. Sejun asked everyone to sit around and see his skills. He had made several items by using spices. He grilled the fish with salt and pepper separately. He asked Salescat Theo to wake up as it was time to eat his breakfast. Sejun offered him 2 kinds of fish, one grilled with salt, one grilled with pepper, but seems like as he was a cat, he liked it grilled without any salt or pepper in it. After eating breakfast, everybody started working in the farm as Sejun was working in the farm. The experience level kept on increasing. Also now he was using the short dagger, it also helped in the farming. Sejun noticed that all skill proficiency that uses this short dagger increases 5% faster. Theo didn't want to work as he thought that he was a sales kitten. According to him, it was a higher post, but Sejun informed him that he was the chairman of this place, which is a higher position than a sales cat. Learning this new information, Theo decided to work even harder. Theo filled his bundle and took Sejun's leave. Sejun asked him to stop by the store area and buy the things they needed, and he also informed him to stop by the smithy and pick anything he likes from the lottery corner. Sejun wanted to let the shining talent rot. As Theo left for his sales job, Sejun thought he should finish up the cherry tomatoes and then take a break. Sejun noticed that his experience level was increasing very much, as it was not usually the amount of level which increases when he harvests 6 cherry tomatoes. Upon checking, he noticed that the rank of the crop was increased. Now it breaks down the fat and increases mana, and even the shelf life was doubled. On top of that, it was much tastier as of now. She thought that if he left a little bit later, he could have sold D-rank cherry tomatoes, but though he was fine with it as it was tasty here, he decided to eat it and take a nap. The Dragon Tower manager went to his storeroom. which was filled with all kinds of luxurious gold and statues. In the middle there was an ice statue of a black dragon made by Kaiser Fritoni. The tower manager broke it down and kept the gift wrapped so sweet potatoes given to him by Sejun. Seems like the gift received by Sejun was much more precious to him than anything. He decided to check on him when he noticed that he was taking a nap with the rabbits. The tower manager wanted to warn him about the danger that was present around him. Sejun received the message from the tower manager which said that it was not the time for sleeping. When he saw above, he noticed someone. He thought it was a monster, but suddenly he saw something falling from above. Sejun catches the falling baby bear. He notices that it's a baby monster of the same kind he saw during the blue moon back then. The baby was extremely small and cute. The tower manager asked him why he caught the following baby crimson giant bear, and the manager also asked him to quickly send the giant bear out of the cave. The manager also informed him that it is nearby and certainly looking for it. She was a bit worried about the little giant bear, and he thought that it would be better if its mother came to pick it up. The tower manager also warns that the crimson giant bear is a genus monster, and it will eat all the food in the cave. Sejun thought that as it was a small bear, it won't affect that much, and the tower manager was overreacting. The small bear saw the honeybees and approached them. The babies of the honeybee attacked him, thinking of him as a monster. Sejun suddenly stopped everyone and informed them that he was not a monster and consoled the small bear. Sejun asked the queen bee for some honey and gave it to the baby bear. He knew that bears are fond of honey. The tower manager requested to send away the baby crimson giant bear out of the cave. The tower manager tried to make Sejun understand how dangerous it was to keep the baby bear inside the cave. Sejun thought that the tower manager was just being jealous. Sejun thought, how much can a small bear eat? The tower manager tried to force Sejun to send the bear away, but he was not in the mood to listen. Sejun had a soft corner for the baby bear and said that he will send it away when it's time. She decided to let him sleep in the cave today and send him back tomorrow. When the session was sleeping, the black rabbit and the other rabbits were angry and making sounds. Sejun was awake due to the noise in the cave. When he woke up, he saw that the baby bear ate all of the food from the storehouse. He ate all the sweet potatoes and carrots, but he didn't touch the cherry tomatoes at all. When he picked up the baby bear, he noticed that his size also increased. He forgot that he was inside the tower and here eating can cause faster growth. He realized that he should have listened to the tower manager. The tower manager then informed that crimson giant bear cubs are the greatest gluttons who can easily eat 100 kg a day as long as they have food. The tower manager then informed that the most important thing right now was to send away the baby bear. Sejun came up with an idea. He tied the crimson giant baby bear with a rope and asked the rabbits to pull it from outside of the cave. The baby bear was sad to leave Sejun. Sejun gave him some honey and asked him to go back to his mom. Sejun got a reward for completing the quest. He acquired a job skill of seed gathering. As the giant crimson baby bear ate all the food in the storeroom, they decided to eat the cherries which were left for now. After a few days, Sejun saw that the baby bear was back with his mother. The baby giant crimson bear was back with his mother. The other cave members were shocked to see this. She was afraid that the crimson bear was here to eat him. He thought that he was going to die. Now he started begging and crying while being on his knees. The tower manager then informed that they are not planning to threaten you. She was stunned to know that the tower manager could understand what the crimson giant bear was saying. The tower manager then informed that the crimson giant bear wants Sejun to feed his cub honey, and in return, the crimson giant bear will protect the surrounding area. Everybody there heaved a sigh of relief, and everyone was happy. Sejun decided to give them the honey. The tower manager then asked Sejun to get on the crimson giant bear's paw. He sat on the giant bear's paw, and the bear pulled it out of the cave. While Sejun was being pulled out of the cave, he looked at the crops and thanked them for growing well inside the cave. All this time, he was finally getting out of this place to the true world of this tower outside this cave. When he was out of the cave, he saw that there were mountains and it was spread in a large area. He saw a beam in the distance, and the tower manager informed that it was a waypoint, the only device that allows hunters from outside the tower to move between floors. Sejun thought that if he just used the waypoint, he'd be able to leave the first floor and get out of the tower. But he was curious about how he would get there. It seemed impossible for him to reach the beam by just walking. He then asked the bear to take him to the beam, but the tower manager informed that the crimson giant bear refused his request because he'll have to defeat about 3,000 monsters to get to the waypoint. And the bear says that the place was not her territory. The giant bear said that its territory is from the inside of the forest to the surrounding area of this place. Most monsters don't come to this place that leads to the wilderness. Bear also mentioned that it might be hard to protect him if he gets out of the territory. Sejun gave some more honey to the baby bear. Sejun also offered some to the giant bear, but she refused it and asked Sejun to give it to her cub. The giant bear praised the honey which helped her cub to grow well. Sejun passed the compliment to the queen bee. Sejun was shocked to know that the giant bear has not eaten anything for the last 3 days. Sejun was not happy with this information and decided to make something for the giant bear as well. He decided that it was his time to show the skills of Chef Sejun. The black rabbit fished some fish from the pond, and Sejun prepared some delicious food items using all the resources he had. Sejun made fish tomato stew which was full of nutrition. The giant bear then hugged Sejun as she was touched. She also thanked Sejun. The tower manager was noticing the baby bear from the moment he left the cave. He was worried that the baby bear would come back with his mother and attack the humans. However, it turned out differently. The tower manager thought that if that crimson giant bear becomes their bodyguard, he'll have less work to think about. Meanwhile, in the Wandering Merchant Inspection Bureau headquarters, Zerath was looking at the information of Theo. Zerath was curious to know how did he secure the number of sales. A dog assistant came inside, informing about the list of stolen items. The director asked for. She also had reports of stolen goods entering the black market in small quantities. Seems like the robbery happened at Great Landlord Grid's warehouse. Zerath said that he was a vicious landlord. Suddenly, a dog cop entered the room and informed about a report from the Inspection Bureau agent managing the passageway that a wandering cat merchant presumed to be Theo had just arrived on the 75th floor through the passageway of the Wandering Merchants. Zerath stood up and left for that place and asked to go over the list when she gets back. In the morning, the baby giant crimson bear and his mother returned to the cave. Sejun and the other rabbits were delighted to see them. It had been 3 days since she struck a deal with the crimson giant bear mom. Sejun prepared a meal for the mother giant bear. She would leave her cup in the morning and immediately go on patrol. After leaving the cave, Sejun began moving things little by little, clearing the area around the cave. However, outside the cave, the situation was vastly different from the fertile underground soil. Outside the cave, there were too many small stones, and the ground was too dry, making it difficult to grow crops there. Meanwhile, he noticed the baby giant bear playing on the ground, making it easier to pick out the stones. He praised the baby giant bear and noticed that his height was almost as close to Sejun's. The baby bear was digging the ground as if they were searching for treasure. Sejun decided that he had to explain everything to him if he was going to stay here. On the 30th floor, Theo was conducting his daily sales of cherry tomatoes. He commenced today's auction with 300 cherry tomatoes of magic, totaling 18 tomatoes. People started bidding, and the tomatoes were sold. Today's collection was a bit less than last time, which he found disappointing. Suddenly, he noticed that team leader Dongshik was there. He informed Theo that he had completed the deal and informed Sejun's parents about his well-being. Theo asked the team leader why he hadn't participated in the cherry tomato auction this time. The team leader explained that he needed something other than cherry tomatoes. This time, he wanted to get a picture together as his daughter liked cats, and in return, he gave him a reward, a red pepper powder essential for South Korean cuisine. Theo tasted it, but it was very spicy, hurting his tongue. Theo then upgraded his bundle so he could store more items in it. The capacity of the bundle was increased, allowing him to fit hundreds more cherry tomatoes. He invested all the incentives he received from Mr. Sejun. Theo noticed a stall selling food items and bought some, getting a discount. He was pleased to get a discount again. While walking, he encountered Zerath, who wanted to repay Theo for what he did last time. However, Theo declined the offer. Zerath suggested having tea together, but he declined that as well. Zerath also mentioned a nearby dessert place owned by a close friend of hers, but Theo informed her that he hated sweet things and rejected the offer. Finally, Zerath started begging Theo on her knees, asking him to teach her the skills he had. Theo agreed as she praised him, calling him the amazing and cool great wandering merchant. When Zerath asked where Theo was going, he invited her to come along, promising to show her some skills. They both went to a place where there were inaccessible or undervalued items, essentially a store to pick items treated as junk. Zerath was curious about what kind of skills Theo was about to show her. All he did was beg for a discount. Theo requested a discount, shocking Zerath, as it was a place where everything was already discounted. The store manager granted Theo a discount, but he wasn't satisfied. They negotiated until settling on a deal for 13 tower coins. Theo was proud of his bargaining skills. Zerath inquired about his purchase, and he went to pick up a hat. Theo bought the hat because he liked it, and Sejun had given him permission to buy whatever he desired. Theo bid farewell to Zerath after showcasing his skills. As Theo left, Zerath suddenly remembered seeing the same hat on the list of stolen items from her office earlier that morning. The carrot flowers yielded seedlings earlier than expected. Sejun decided to plant half of them in the cave and the other half on the upper ground. The rabbits arrived with the fish, signaling mealtime. They opted to make fish soup. Sejun instructed them to clean the fish with a sickle. Simultaneously, Sejun harvested 10 well-ripe magic cherry tomatoes. He received messages indicating an increase in his experience level and the addition of new effects. The new effects made slightly unripe or overripe fruits optimal for harvesting with a low probability. The level of harvested crops could be raised by 1 level. Sejun was pleased with this development. Sejun commenced soup preparation, making it for the mother rabbit. He encouraged her to eat well, even if she lacked appetite. While conversing with the rabbits, Sejun noticed the arrival of the crimson giant baby bear. They all prepared to ascend. With the help of the giant bear mom a few days prior, using a rock as a pulley, they had built a manual elevator. They began their day with the giant baby bear arriving for work in the morning, bringing Sejun to the ground for breakfast. She commended the baby bear for growing stronger, evident in his faster pulling speed compared to yesterday. Sejun pondered whether the bear was genuinely curious to meet him or just eager to eat quickly. Sejun offered the giant baby bear roasted potatoes, which he consumed rapidly. He then kept one and attempted to bury it in the ground. Sejun realized he had learned this behavior from them, leading to laughter as they explained that cooked food doesn't work that way. Suddenly, fish began emerging from the ground, startling everyone. The giant baby bear and the black rabbit played together, their interaction seeming more like training to Sejun. Sejun himself was unsure if it was play or training. Another rabbit brought him carrot juice as he was thirsty. Sejun noticed the bees departing for patrolling, including the queen bee. He inquired about her departure from the cave while she was spawning. She handed something to Sejun before leaving, which turned out to be the cocoon of the poison bee queen. Sejun realized that since the queen bee had recently assumed her role, the hive's power wasn't yet strong. Trusting Sejun, she entrusted him with her cocoon. Sejun resolved to work diligently so that she could emerge as a splendid queen poison bee. He eagerly anticipated the day the cocoon would hatch. Later, Theo returned to the cave and suddenly noticed a crimson giant baby bear roaming around with Sejun's bag. Theo assumed the bear had already killed Sejun. Angered by the wasted time as a sales cat and seeking revenge for his lap, he lunged to attack the baby bear. From beside him, Sejun called out to Theo. Startled, Theo stopped and rushed to Sejun, checking him for any bites. He wondered how Sejun had emerged from the cave, as all of this had occurred while Theo was away for the sale. Everything seemed new to him. Sejun later briefed Theo on what had transpired in his absence, explaining that in return for protection, his mom had agreed to provide them with honey and food. Sejun realized he needed to name the baby bear and decided on queuing, as the bear seemed to respond positively to the name. Though Theo and the rabbit found it lame, Sejun tried his best to ensure the baby bear liked it, starting to tickle him. Theo intervened, informing Sejun about the coins and missions he had completed. Sejun granted Theo 38 hours as a sales cat. Upon resuming his role as the sales cat, Theo demanded churu. Sejun attempted to feed it to him, but the baby giant bear only licked it. Theo grew angry and tried to attack him, prompting Sejun to intervene. The baby bear started crying loudly, the sound carrying for miles, reaching his mother. She rushed to their location, visibly angry at seeing her son hurt. Sejun realized they were in significant trouble. Hearing her cub crying, the mother bear rushed towards him. She stood in front of Theo, looking very angry. Theo thought he was done for today. With his shaking voice, Theo introduced himself and said that they were just playing, and nothing serious happened. The mother bear growled so loudly that the wind blew with her breath. Sejun came in between and tried explaining to the mother giant bear that it was just a little argument and nothing really happened. The mother bear was convinced by Sejun's words as she trusted him more. She went back to patrolling. Theo was so afraid that he got hiccups. Sejun tried to calm him down. Theo thanked Sejun for saving him, and all the rabbits also consoled him. Watching them, the baby bear also came close and started licking Theo. Theo apologized to the baby bear, and at last, they all were friends. They were all tired, and they slept there, resting against each other. The couple of rabbits saw the hat that Theo brought from the market, and she kept it on Sejun's face so that he didn't feel the sun. Meanwhile, somewhere in the tower, a galaxy-like place was seen where a few dragons were guarding the place and two men standing in the middle trying to do something. The elder one was trying to open the tower. The other one tried to calm him down. This man was Anton Furtani, but the elder one, Kaiser Furtani, couldn't calm down as he could no longer see Aileen. He informed that it's been 10 years and several days since the last seizure, and he was finally able to get the medicine. But the portal doesn't open for some reason. The emergency system of the tower doesn't react either, so there wasn't any other way for them to cross over. Anton informed that the fact the emergency system of the Black Tower didn't work proves that Aileen hasn't had a seizure yet. He informed that they still have time. It seems like they all gathered there for Aileen. All of them seemed to be worried about Aileen, including the dragons present there. Aileen was Anton's daughter, and he had a lot of belief in her that she must be fighting well with the seizure. The Black Tower manager was Aileen. She was busy eating the cherry tomatoes. Suddenly, her heart started beating. It never beat even once in the last 200 years, but now it moved on its own and absorbed mana for a while. Aileen realized that she was supposed to have a seizure by now, but because of the cherry tomatoes, her mana increased slightly. She realized that it was not only good in taste but also had good health factors. It even had the ability to heal a dragon's heart. She realized that now she wanted to protect Park Sejun because of him. Her heartbeat came back. It was just for once, but it meant a lot to Aileen. When Sejun was sleeping, he realized that he can see message from the manager, but it was too close to his face. He wake up from his sleep and he noticed that the tower manager informed him that he was not sure about what the manager was talking about. He realized that there was a straw hat on his head, but he was not aware about that. The rabbits informed that they found it from Theo's bag. Sejun tried to wake up Theo, but he was not in a mood to wake up. Now when he saw the stats, it said that the hat gives protection of Mother Earth. It was a really nice item, but there was usage restriction. The tower manager asked him to give the straw hat so that she appraise it. Aileen took the hat and decided to show off her skills. She used her appraisal skill and the item was appraised. The tower manager then gave a new quest asking Sejun to promise that he will present his crops full of Blue Moon's energy during the next Blue Moon. Sejun realized that it was time for the Blue Moon soon. He agreed to the quest. The tower manager gave Sejun her name and said that he should feel honored that now he knows the tower manager's name. She promised to give his crops to Aileen Furtani. He received the hat back and he noticed that it was an artifact. Sejun was shocked to see the stats of this item. Received several messages about the restrictions which were lifted. He was really happy with this item, and he was really proud of Theo, and granted him to be sales cat for a whole week. Theo was also happy to listen to this. After a while, inside the cave, everybody was sitting and waiting for something. Seems like they were waiting for the couple rabbit to come outside as they were about to have baby rabbits. After a while, the mother rabbit opened the door and came out with 3 rabbits, and the father rabbit also brought 3 rabbits. In total, there were 6 newborn baby rabbits. She and everybody was really happy to see them. He asked Theo to come closer and have a look at them as Theo became an uncle. By being happy with this fact, Theo offered his churu to them. Day 179 ended in the tower and new family members were born somewhere on the 99th floor. There was some monster gathered up and they were discussing about the coming Blue Moon. They were Ox, Demon King, and they decided to eat everything they can in that barren wasteland. Sejun received several messages about the development of the farm. He noticed that there were more flowers than usual. He was wondering if Qing and his mother were doing well as the 7th Blue Moon was going to come soon. He also noticed that Theo was taking good care of the rabbit babies, and he loved being an uncle. Theo decided to take the rabbit kids out, and Sejun asked them to come back before dinner. As the Blue Moon was going to appear today, everybody started preparing for it. Honeybees and rabbits shut their doors. Sejun also prepared his bag. He saw that Theo was going inside his bundle. Theo informed him that the bundle had a feature that could block the energy of the Blue Moon. He also informed that this bundle was a bit small, but there are other wandering merchants who use bundles that are huge as houses. Sejun gave Theo the queen bee's cocoon. Theo took it and went inside the bundle. The Blue Moon began, and Sejun heard loud noises from outside. He was worried if any other monsters entered their territories. He decided he would use the cherry tomatoes as earplugs, but suddenly he heard loud noises from outside. It was like a cow cry. He wondered if there were any cows on the 99th floor. He also noticed that the Blue Moon energy was more intense today, and the crops were growing with the Blue Moon's energy. When the Blue Moon was gone, Sejun and Theo decided to go out and check the surroundings. Theo thought that it was dangerous to go outside as Qing and his mom were also not around to protect them. But Sejun thought it would be safe, and they went ahead. They saw footprints of a wild animal. It was huge in size. Sejun checked the texture of the soil. It was different from the usual barren soil. It was not crumbly. It was soft and retained moisture and had the right viscosity, soil full of nutrients. He thought that it was possible to rebuild this wasteland into a bountiful field. While he was checking the land, the tower manager asked him to go back to the cave as it was dangerous for him being outside. He rushed towards the cave. He asked the tower manager if she was doing well. The tower manager asked him not to worry about her and to worry about himself. She ordered him to think about his safety more as a tower farmer. When Sejun reached the cave, he noticed that corn had grown with the blue moon's energy in it. It was a corn of stamina containing the energy of the blue moon. It was nutritious and delicious. When consumed, the stamina permanently increases by 0.1. The tower manager then reminded him of his promise. Sejun picked up a few crops which were harvested by the blue moon and gave them to the tower manager. The tower manager was happy to have the blue moon cherry tomatoes. When she ate it, it was very tasty, but the tower manager decided to focus on the flow of her mana. While she was focusing on her mana, she felt a sudden pain and collapsed on the floor. Sejun started cooking the corn with the blue moon's energy in the pot that Sale's cat Theo got the other day. He decided to dry the corn leaves well and make a concoction which would give him one more drink that he could have. The rabbits woke up, but the mother rabbit and the babies were sleeping inside their house. Sejun showed the rabbits the corn with the energy of the blue moon and the cherry tomatoes as well. The father rabbit asked if he could eat the corn all by himself as they would only have the cherry tomatoes, but Sejun couldn't eat all this by himself and decided to have it with everyone together. The corn was cooked well. It looked very delicious. Everybody started eating their food. The father rabbit took some of the cherries for the mother rabbit. Sejun took a bite of the corn and it was delicious. The savory sweetness increased the more he chewed it. When he ate it completely, his stamina increased permanently by 0.1. After finishing his food, he picked up the normal corn. It was devoid of stamina. When consumed, it breaks down 20 grams of fat in the body and increases physical strength by 0.2 for 10 minutes, and it also improves skin elasticity. He thought of his mom and decided as he was going to send some news to his family. He will send this on as well. After a while, Quing and his mom also came back to the cave. He gave the baby bear a bottle of honey and asked that he will bring some roasted fish for his mother later. Theo came out of the cave and decided to go for the sales as he thought of himself as the professional wandering merchant, which was pro among all of the other wandering merchants. Quing decided to drop him till the passageway. Sejun decided that till the time Quing comes back from dropping Theo, he will organize the destroyed field. Meanwhile, the ox demons were gathered together, and their captain was angry at all of them as he sent everybody to bring him food. But all of them came back with just mud. Back in the time, this place was a green meadow full of high-quality grass. Their captain was Black Minotaur. He was the strongest monster in the black tower that guards the waypoint area on the 99th floor. If he didn't replenish the energy exhausted due to the blue moon, he would lose muscles, so he ordered his subordinates to scatter throughout their territory and eat grass during the blue moon. However, the Minotaur race are large monsters with a very strong appetite in the first place, so the rate at which the grass was eaten was much higher than the rate at which it grew. In the end, the place became a barren land where not a single blade of grass grew. The captain was worried that the situation was not good at all, and he had to find a solution for it. Suddenly, the third ox came and apologized for being late. The captain forgave him and said as long as he comes back safe, it was fine. But suddenly he noticed something and went towards him. The third ox was worried by this, but the captain saw a grass with a sweet potato on his horn. The captain asked him about what this was. Meanwhile, in the tower where the tower manager collapsed, she regained her consciousness. She noticed that suddenly her height was increased. She was taller now. The tower manager noticed that her size grew a lot. She noticed that the cherry tomatoes from Blue Moon definitely possessed over 10 times the magical power of ordinary magic cherry tomatoes, and she ate 5 of them together, which caused a chain reaction in her heart and brought about a change to her halted growth. She noticed that the effect was temporary on her heart, but she was sure that her dragon heart could be healed. All this was because of Park Sejun. She saw that Sejun and rabbits were eating tasty things without her. As of now, it was difficult for her to see them as her size grew. The crystal ball seemed small for her, and it was difficult for her to move out of the door. In the cave, all the animals were doing the daily chores, collecting the crops, and cooking them. Sejun steamed a couple of corns in the pot, and the tower manager requested some. Sejun was cooking it and decided to share it with everyone. He found the seasoning that Theo brought earlier. He applied sugar to the corn and grilled it until they were brown, then sprinkled some Parmesan cheese on the cooked corn. and to finish it, he removed the chili powder. He found out that Theo was hiding it from him, but he'll let it slide for this time. Sejun gave 6 of them to Aileen, the tower manager. Everybody started eating it. He noticed that the parent rabbits were feeding the corn to the newborns, but it was difficult for them to do so. Sejun gave it a try and ended up laughing as they started stuffing the corn into their bodies. He was missing Theo. Meanwhile, the soldiers were waiting for Theo to come to the 38th floor. They noticed that people were going crazy outside the tower, buying the cherry tomatoes of magic at an enormous price. A single cherry tomato cost more than 5 lakh won. The team leader decided to leave the minimum number of people to participate in the auction, and the rest of them would get ready to go into the tower. He decided to be here because he was acquainted with the wandering merchant. Theo reached his destination, Wandering Merchant Passageway 60th floor. While entering, an animal was asking for their agency and grade. Theo gave the details and asked to use the ordinary merchant passageway that connects to the 38th floor. From a distance, a few animals were keeping an eye on Theo. Looks like someone sent them to keep an eye on Theo. It was Landlord Grid who was looking for the straw hat which Theo bought from the market. They all gathered their Mercenary Association ID and also entered the passageway. It was the Silver Wolf tribe. Zerath was behind the trees, following their actions. She was confused as to why they were here and why they were after Theo. She also decided to follow them. Everyone was working hard on the farm, all working together to restore the fields on the ground that were damaged during the blue moon. Sejun was happy that the piles of dirt, piled up like hills, disappeared in a flash. He decided to plant some peanut seeds, harvested all the remaining corn in the morning, and leveled up by 6. He was happy that he increased his agility, which boosted his working speed. He was able to plant all the peanut seeds in just a few hours. Also, there was a small change in the seed store. When given options, Sejun decided that peanuts were a good crop that could restore soil fertility. They grow well even in harsh environments on Earth, so he bought peanut seeds. He was able to increase his tier. He was promoted from rookie to commoner. At the commoner tier, 4 types of seeds will be shown randomly. Also, he will be able to purchase as many seeds as he wants within the amount of 5 tower coins. He got greedy. He wanted new and more seeds. The corn plant, which has been harvested once, doesn't fruit again, so they cut them all down and moved them to the ground to cover the area around the field where the peanuts were planted. This was to prevent moisture from evaporating because the sunlight shines all day. The small rabbits were bored, as all the adults used to go outside and work on the ground, and the baby rabbits were alone. Sejun decided to give them some work. He gave them pockets and asked them to give 1 carrot slice to each adult working hard. The baby rabbits started to work as assigned. He thought he'd ask Theo to bring some cute clothes for the baby rabbits. Outside in the barren land, the ox was looking for the grass and root which was found on his horn. The captain ordered him to look for it. The captain ate the sweet potato and went crazy because of its taste. He felt energized, and his muscles were being pumped. But the ox had no memory of him due to the blue moon which happened that night. He was afraid that if he didn't find it, the captain would beat him. Suddenly he got the smell of the grass. He was excited and ate a few of them and collected the rest of them. The mother of the giant bear noticed it and was angry. Meanwhile, the tower manager was relaxing in the spa. The Crimson Giant Bear called the tower manager. The tower manager then informed Sejun that the Crimson Giant detected traces of another monster near the surrounding of the cave. When they came out of the cave, they saw all the corn leaves were gone. Meanwhile, Theo reached the 38th floor. Sejun and the others noticed that the corn leaves were stolen. It was stolen very thoroughly because Sejun didn't hear anything last night. The Crimson Giant Bear informed that it was probably the Haunt Bastard's doing. Sejun wondered if it was the same monster that made the pit during the blue moon. It was fortunate that they only took the leaves that were laid on top and did not destroy the field. Sejun thought they could just bring back the blue moon tomato leaves from the cage and cover them again. The giant bear said she would expand their territory and patrol starting today. Sejun informed her not to overwork and to stay safe and healthy. Sejun was satisfied that no one was hurt, but they still had to prepare. Sejun decided he needed the power to protect himself. Today was the day when the Poison Bee Queen's cocoon would hatch. In the description of the Poison Bee Queen's cocoon, it was described that the first person seeing it would be regarded as the owner. The number of bees in the cave was rapidly increasing. It was about 200 as of now. Sejun was waiting for the bee to hatch. While waiting, Sejun fell asleep, and the queen bee was born. The second generation queen bee regarded Farmer Park Sejun as its owner. Soon, the first queen bee joined them. Sejun woke up and found that the bee was not there. On the other hand, the ox gave the leaves to his captain. The captain noticed that he had not seen these types of grass ever before. He ate the leaves and found them delicious, and they also increased his energy. He was proud of Ox 3. The captain himself wanted to go there and secure as many leaves as he wanted, but the amount of time he could be away from the waypoint was limited. The captain then asked the ox to go and find the origin of these grasses. The ox wanted to take a nap before leaving, but the captain forcibly sent him away. Theo was there on the 38th floor for his sale. He apologized for being late and then introduced the new cherry tomatoes, which were even more special. He informed that these were D-grade magic tomatoes. Everybody tried them and found them real. He started the auction by selling 400 units each, with a total of 2,000 units. The auction started, and everything was sold in a minute. With this, Theo's profit reached over 1,000 coins. He was happy that now he'd become a wandering merchant veteran, and then the restrictions on marking cultivator would be lifted, and he wouldn't have to hide it from Sejun anymore. The girls came again for a photograph. He was sad that there were fewer people, but soon a couple more people joined him and asked to click a selfie with them. They also informed that they got to know about him from social media. Theo sent more money with this. Theo came to know that the pictures the girl took were being uploaded on social media, and he was quite famous there with thousands of followers. The girl apologized that she didn't inform him of this before, but it turned out that Theo wanted her to click more pictures and upload them fast. He gave several poses, and the girl kept clicking. He wanted rewards in return for the photographs. He asked her if anybody wants to meet him, asked them to come to the 38th floor. It was the moment when the best cat star was born. While heading back, Theo was wondering about the incentives and the amount of rewards he'll get if he becomes more famous. He was thinking of being a chairman himself. While he was busy in his own thoughts, he noticed a wind from behind. When he turned back, it was the group of wolves from before. The wolves surrounded him from the sides and asked him if he bought the straw hat at a smithy in the merchant district. The wolves started attacking Theo, and Theo started crying as he thought he was going to die today for sure. But suddenly, a smoke bomb came from the side, and they started coughing because of the smoke. Zareth held Theo's hand and asked him to run with her. The wolves noticed that Theo was running away. The main wolf ordered the rest to go and follow him, but they were all in bad condition because of the smoke, and their mission failed like this. After a while, Theo thanked Zareth for saving him from the wolves, and she said it was herself returning the favor. Theo wanted to repay and asked if she likes grilled fish. Zareth asked Theo to follow her as she knows the quickest route to the merchant district. Theo informed that he first wanted to go to the merchant gate and apply for promotion to a mid-level merchant. She was shocked to hear this as he just joined the wandering merchant a few weeks ago. Theo was suspicious as to how she knew all of this, but she put the blame on Scaram. She saved herself from revealing her true identity. She asked him how he collected so much amount in less time. Zareth was sure that without special support, it was impossible to gather such a large amount in such a short period of time. She wondered what his backing was and what kind of dangerous item he is selling. If that was the case, she decided to arrest him to save the owner of the inspection bureau. Theo informed he was selling cherry tomatoes. Theo informed that everything was sold out for as of now, and he'll show her the skill next time. Zareth found this suspicious. Meanwhile, in the city, the chairman had the D-rank cherry tomatoes. He asked Jenny about the results from planting the magic cherry tomatoes on Earth. She informed that it grew into the typical cherry tomato. He also asked about the results of planting them into the tower. She informed that they have sown 100 E-grade magic cherry tomatoes on the first floor of the tower, and 10 have successfully germinated and are about to be harvested soon. The chairman was proud of her, and she gave the credit back to the chairman and the technology and goggles know-how. The budget for the tower project farm had already been passed to the board. They were hiring the Awakened to create a farm and push out the surrounding monsters. He was happy that the tower project farm, his long-awaited business which had been halted, is back in operation. He thanked the magic cherry tomatoes. Theo was promoted to a mid-level merchant. He was happy about this. Zareth also congratulated him. He decided to go out to the trading market and buy the necessary items. The trading market in the mid-level merchant area, where wandering merchants can show off their abilities as much as they want. Starting with the auction house where you can bring in good items from farmers or craft workshops on each floor at the best prices, depending on how they can purchase a large number of items and gain maximum profit with minimum loss. Their ability as a merchant is evaluated. This place was on a different level from the junk shop the other day. Zareth was curious about what kind of technique he would use this time. Theo decided to shop from a miscellaneous goods store. He asked for 2 cooking utensils, thread, and a needle set. Zareth asked him if he was not here to buy wholesale items to sell on another floor. Theo clarified that he sells cherry tomatoes. The shopkeeper asked for 2.4 cherry tomatoes. Theo countered it by asking for a discount. The shopkeeper argued about the price a bit and was rigid about his final offer. Theo asked Zerath to let's go from this place, and the shopkeeper, in return, gave him some more discount. But Theo asked for a 1.8 tower coin deal, or he was leaving the shop. The shopkeeper finally agreed to it. Zerath was thinking about what just happened. She started thinking that she was the one who received special education from the family, but she wouldn't have been able to lead this fight this fast. She would have ended it at 2 tower coins. She was thinking of this situation a lot, but it was just Theo who insisted on being given a discount 3 times. Zerath informed that she'd be leaving now. She thanked him for giving her a chance to look back at her arrogance. She also warned him to be careful as he might meet the wolves next time too. Theo found her strange. An assistant asked Zerath that the director wants to schedule a meeting regarding the stolen goods from landlord Grid. She decided to visit the director's office soon. Zerath handed a piece of paper to her assistant and informed that it was the report on the wandering merchant who was recently under surveillance. She sent the document to the merchant passageway manager and also told him to exclude him from surveillance. In the report, it was mentioned that Theo was a genius at bargaining. Zerath met a real merchant for the first time in a while. Sejun again kept the leaves outside. He thought it'd be safe as the giant bear was on patrol. He noticed that the water was not coming out of the can, though the water can was supposed to be infinite. The black rabbit asked Sejun to see the pond. Upon checking, there were crayfish in the pond. He was thinking of cooking them and drooling at the same time. He decided to fish them with the black rabbit as he didn't want to lose the opportunity to get the protein. They began the hunting of the crayfish. He acquired 30 XP for defeating a crayfish. The black rabbit also helped him in hunting them. The father rabbit used the sickle to cut the fish, however, as their shells are hard, it was difficult to cut them unless they are cooked. Sejun decided to wrap them in green onion and grill them. It made delicious. The salty scent of the crustacean was emanating into the cave. It was red in color and was cooked well. Sejun showed the rabbit the proper way to eat it. He gave one to each of them. Everybody started eating it and found it really delicious. He showed them many other ways of eating the crayfish. The black rabbit also tried it and found it amazing. Kyung came to the cave. Sejun brought some of the fish for Kyung and showed him also the correct way of eating it. On the outskirts of the second floor of the tower, in Skeleton Village, the warriors were fighting with the skeleton monsters. They were crushing the skulls of skeleton monsters. The vice chairman came to the same floor. It seemed like they were securing the land for a large farm. The soldier informed about the current situations of the land and how they have mobilized all mercenaries and have seized more than half of the skeleton villages on the second floor. The vice chairman asked about the time period it will take to cover the whole land. The warrior informed about a few months. The vice chairman then showed a message where they took over the debts of those who took out private loans and awakened them with a ticket and had them sign a lifetime contract with them. He also informed that they don't need to get out of the tower, so this should be enough. The vice chairman gave him a week's time and asked him to focus on securing the farmland. The vice chairman was then shown the growth of the cherry tomatoes as it has reached its peak. He tasted it and suddenly regretted it. He then shouted at all the scientists working there and informed them that it was nowhere near to the cherry tomatoes. Even though they added all the highest quality nutritional supplements, still it was not tasting like the real cherry tomatoes made by Sejun. The vice chairman crushed the cherry tomatoes below his foot but noticed that there were no seeds. Meanwhile, Sejun was sleeping. An ox snuck into the field again. The vice chairman was looking at the cherry tomatoes and wondering that without seeds, cultivation was impossible. He remembered something that happened 10 years ago, around the time when he entered the tower. Not long after it appeared, he was lucky enough to have entered the tower through vanishing. His younger self had his dream come true, having seen the rich and spacious land inside the tower. The sky where the sun never sets 24 hours a day. Good quality land. He thought if he could just grow crops in the tower, dominating the global food market would not be just a dream anymore. Before that happened, he had leveled up to a certain extent and left the tower, and he went to the company right away to convince his father at that time. Everything was going smoothly. That was the start of the tower farming project, but the problems arose unexpectedly. Not even a single seed was growing. Even though he invested an imaginable amount of money in hundreds of different seeds over the year to create the best environment in the tower, not even a single one of them was growing. Research showed that the awakened lose their reproductive abilities the moment they enter the tower, and losing fertility goes the same for plants. There was no way that the level-up seeds were coming from outside. He had to find another way. That's when he thought of using the crops that were born and grown inside the tower. He asked several merchants for the seeds, but they denied him because they are all monopolized by a greedy guy called Grid on the 55th floor, and he only climbed up to the 10th floor. He used up a lot of money and was treated as an incompetent son by his father and the board of directors. In front of the tall wall of the tower, his dreams of the tower farming project collapsed in vain just like that. He asked to gather every hunter on the 38th floor, and he ordered them to purchase every D-rank cherry tomato from the merchant cat. He now decided to cultivate D-rank cherry tomatoes as they might get a different result if the grade is higher. When Theo was walking back, he saw the leaves of spring onion on the floor. He saw it in several places. While collecting them, he saw the ox eating it. Theo blamed him for stealing the grass, and the ox denied it by saying that it was just thrown down on the ground, and he just picked it up, and he didn't steal it. They both had a heated argument about who was right, and Theo asked him to come and talk to Sejun and ask him who was right and who was wrong. The ox decided to go as he was asked by his captain to check where the leaves came from. Theo reached the cave and asked Sejun to wake up as he was sleeping and informed him that he found the thief. Sejun was shocked to see the ox, and he remembered that the giant bear was talking about this ox. Upon being asked by Theo about the grass, Sejun confirmed that he did not just throw the grass, he kept it here on the ground to save the moisture from evaporating. The ox was ashamed and apologized as he was not aware of the same. But Sejun asked for 100 tower coins instead of a normal apology. While Theo and Sejun's confrontation with the ox uncovered deeper secrets lurking within the tower's ecosystem. And what role will the D-rank cherry tomatoes play in the vice chairman's desperate quest for agricultural success? The tower's mysteries are deep. Let's see what happens ahead. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.